Chapter 316. Lightning Tribulation. This guy isn't an ordinary human. Su Tiang's tiny figure appeared not far away as he looked at Su Yi in shock. However, the pressure of the lightning tribulation didn't seem to have much effect on him. As Su Yi's voice faded, everything around him calmed down. The mysterious energy around him also disappeared, causing Su Yi's body to fall from the sky. Not good. However, it only lasted for a few seconds. In an instant, Su Yi's face changed and Yuan Shi gushed out from his feet when he was 10 feet away from the ground. Thump! Thump! As his body fell, Su Yi staggered a few steps back before stabilizing his body. The saber and sword on his back also fell to the ground. Roar! Chinu appeared and went straight for Su. Brother Su Yi, what kind of technique did you cultivate to cause the lightning tribulation to stop you? Chinu's eyes were filled with shock as he spoke in beast language. Scarlet light fluctuated from his body. Chinu came out of seclusion and saw the terrifying commotion. He was attracted by it and saw Su Yi. At this moment, he couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. I cultivated a cultivation technique that I obtained by accident. I didn't expect it to cause such a huge commotion. So he was also surprised. He didn't expect that cultivating the heavenly Fey ancient scripture would cause a lightning tribulation to stop him. No wonder it was said that the heavenly Fey ancient scripture could shock the heavens and earth. Oh, a breakthrough in our relationship. Immediately after, he sensed that Chinu's aura seemed to have improved. So he wasn't too surprised. Before Chinu went into seclusion, he had already said that he was preparing to make a breakthrough. Compared to you, the difference is too great. Did you also make a breakthrough? Chinu felt a little helpless. He originally thought that after he made a breakthrough, he could challenge Su Yi to a duel. At that time, he should be able to win once. Although a third-level Demon Spirit Realm cultivator compared to a first-level Origin Spirit Realm cultivator was a bit of a bully, Chi Yin only wanted to win once. But at this moment, sensing the aura on Su Yi's body, Chinu reckoned that his plan had failed. This guy had obviously taken another step forward. Advance a little, a little, a little. Su Yi chuckled as he sensed the abundant and boundless Yuan Qi within his Dantian, as well as the abundant soul strength within his mind. He never imagined that there would be another pleasant surprise after successfully cultivating the heavenly demon ancient scripture. Breaking through 2 more levels consecutively, he had now reached level 3 of the Origin Spirit stage. However, Su Yi's recent rapid breakthroughs worried him. He had been suppressing himself and consolidating his cultivation base. He was afraid that breaking through too quickly would affect his foundation. However, every time he broke through, he couldn't stop it. Roar! My lord, Brother Su Yi, the fiery-eyed barbaric tiger, Debao, Xiao Ling, Shangwan Yu, Shangwan Su, Xiongzhan, and Hu Qi all ran over and surrounded Su. If we leave this young man alive, he might become a huge threat one day. On the mountain peak, the yellow-robed old man's face was still filled with shock as he stared at the human youth in the sky. He said to Akatsuki, "Big brother, you have to make a decision soon. I'm afraid that the remnants of the Tianyao school are with these humans. When the time comes, we won't be afraid that we won't be able to get them out." Akatsuki's eyes moved as he stared at Su Yi, who was surrounded by the crowd of beasts. His gaze also landed on Chinu. Seeing Chinu, Su Yi, and the group of special barbaric demon beasts together, Akatsuki's eyes secretly fluctuated as he pondered. His expression constantly changed, making it difficult to grasp what was going on. This human is very special. He's very close to the demon clan. Rumor has it that the rise of the Tianyao school had a lot to do with the demon clan. Akatsuki whispered. Then he smiled and said to the yellow-robed old man, "What do you think should happen to us one day? Chinu still needs time to grow. What do you think he should do?" "Big brother, you mean?" The yellow-robed old man was confused and asked Akatsuki. "Let nature take its course," Akatsuki said softly. His eyes moved slightly, but he didn't say anything. Hearing this, the yellow-robed old man's eyes flickered, but he didn't say anything else. He knew that his big brother was paving the way for Chinu. His big brother had high hopes for Chi Nu, seeing that the human youth was extraordinary. He was tempted. With such a big commotion, we definitely won't be able to hide it from those fellows around. Some of them should already be on their way to check out the situation. Let's go deal with them. Akatsuki finished speaking, smiled, and turned to leave. Plus hearing this, the yellow-robed old man looked at the human youth in the distance for a moment and said softly, "Is this human really reliable? I hope my big brother didn't misjudge him." As soon as he finished speaking, the yellow-robed old man also left and disappeared. What kind of technique did he cultivate? Why does it feel like the demon spirit truth? It also feels like the savage scripture. It has the aura of the heavenly tiger technique. In the crowd, Shang Wanyu, Xiongzhan, and Hu Qi surrounded Su Yi. They felt that the huge commotion caused by Su Yi just now had an aura that they were familiar with. It was the same as the cultivation technique that they cultivated. However, that aura made them tremble in fear, and they felt suppressed for no reason. It has something to do with it. Su Yi nodded and didn't hide anything. Chi Nu, who was beside him, didn't avoid it either. "I say, Su Yi, can you be more careful?" Su Tianke wobbled and squeezed in with his tail raised. The crimson gold meatball on his head was like a beautiful crimson jade. His short legs and 5 claws swayed as he walked. "Su Tianke, don't forget that I'm your big brother. Show me some respect, or we can learn from each other." Su Yi rolled his eyes at Su Tianke. Ever since they became sworn brothers, this bald chicken had never treated him as his big brother. It just so happened that he had made a lot of breakthroughs recently, so he could test the strength of this mysterious guy. Su Tianke had always been mysterious. "Okay, I'll respect you. You're my big brother. However, don't you realize that you're missing something? Many girls are looking at you." Su Tianke flapped his fluffy wings, which were no longer as bald as before. He rolled his eyes at Su Yi with a hint of schadenfreude. "What's missing?" Hearing this, Su Yi also felt it. Shangwan Shui, Shangwan Xiu, and the other girls were standing far away. They lowered their heads and whispered to each other. Some of them seemed to be secretly looking at him from the corner of their eyes. This made Su Yi feel strange, and he lowered his head to check himself. Damn, if he hadn't looked, he wouldn't have known. Su Yi was shocked, and his expression changed. He wished he could find a hole to crawl into. He was completely naked, and his clothes had been destroyed by the lightning. No wonder the female disciples of the heavenly demon sect hadn't come running over. Help me block it for a while. Chapter 317. Amidst the laughter, Hu Qi took the lead and took out a robe from his space bag and handed it to Su. "I've lost a lot of face this time." Su Yi put on the robe in a hurry, thinking that he had been seen by so many people, especially the female disciples of the Tian Yao school. How could he face others in the future? Everything calmed down, and the pressure that shrouded Kanglan City dissipated. The beasts inside and outside Kanglan City were still in a daze. They had no idea what had happened. They could only guess that the city lord had received some benefits to cause such a huge commotion. In the next few days, Su Yi went out early and returned late. He deliberately avoided the female disciples of the Tian Yao school. He was too embarrassed to meet them. Instead, it was Qi Yin who couldn't hold back in the end and went to fight Su Yi again. The result was self-evident. Qi Nu lost miserably. Su Yi had already held back. After all, this was Kanglan City. He had to save some face, for Qi Nu learning from each other wasn't a life and death battle. At night, the bright moonlight decorated the night sky. Roar! Around Kanglan City, the roars of many savage beasts could be heard. Swish! Under the moonlight in the mountain forest, a figure was like a ghost. The Fuyao's 100 transformation steps focuses on changes and unpredictability. He muttered to himself. His figure changed endlessly, real and fake. Su Yi was practicing the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps. Wherever his figure passed, the dust didn't rise and the sand didn't move. He had truly reached the point of unpredictability. The Fuyao's 100 transformation steps was a royal-grade martial skill. Strictly speaking, it wasn't even comparable to a normal royal-grade martial skill. There were several small levels in the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps. Practicing the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps to the small success level could shrink the ground into an inch, greatly increasing one's speed. If it went one step further, it could be unpredictable. When fighting with an opponent, it was enough to dazzle the opponent, making it impossible for the opponent to see clearly. Back then, he had already cultivated unfathomable transformation, but he was still rather immature. His cultivation level also affected the effects of Fuyao's 100 transformation steps. It was just like how the same treasured sword would have different effects when it was wielded by a child and an adult. If one could cultivate the Fuyao 100 transformation steps to the large success stage, they would be able to condense origin chi wings. At that time, they would be able to soar through the sky like a great rock. As a martial artist, a powerful martial artist who had reached the origin spirit realm would be able to form yuan chi beneath their feet and form illusory images of beasts that could soar into the sky. It wasn't impossible for some of the more powerful martial artists to condense some flying beast phantoms to fly. However, it consumed a lot of energy and couldn't be sustained for a long time. He had reached the essence spirit realm. However, when he was breaking through to the essence spirit realm, he had encountered the savage demon beasts of Azure Water City. Thus, he had yet to study how to condense the illusory image of a beast with his yuan chi. He had already reached the third level of the origin spirit stage. Coupled with the fact that he had plenty of time in Azure Water City recently, he wanted to cultivate in this aspect. However, compared to that, he was more interested in trying to see if he could improve on the Fuyao 100 transformation steps. The final stage of the Fuyao 100 transformation steps would allow one to condense a pair of wings and soar through the sky. Back when he was at the bottom of the cliff, he had wanted to continue practicing the Fuyao 100 transformation steps. However, it was a pity that he was unable to condense a pair of wings at the bottom of the cliff. That mysterious old man had also said that condensing a pair of wings to fly at the essence spirit realm was equivalent to a fool's dream. Thus, he had given up. Now that he was at the third level of the origin spirit realm, he wanted to give it another try. According to the cultivation information of the Fuyao 100 transformation steps, in order to condense a pair of wings, one had to open up dozens of special meridians on the back and circulate yuan chi within these dozens of meridians. Finally, the yuan chi would form a pair of wings to fly. The process was incomparably complicated and required the support of boundless yuan chi. In the past few days, he had been studying the Fuyao 100 transformation steps and had made some progress. After all, he was already very familiar with the Fuyao 100 transformation steps. However, there was still a long way to go before he could condense a pair of wings. In the past few days, he had also been attempting to condense a beast form. This was the symbol of the origin spirit realm. He did not have a master to teach him, but he had Shangwan Su, Xiong Lu, and Hu Bu, the three elders. Although he was too embarrassed to meet people these few days, for the sake of cultivation, he had shamelessly sought out the three elders and consulted them on the problem of condensing a beast form. The three elders' attitudes towards became better and better. Every time they saw they could not help but be shocked and taught without holding back. Condensing a beast form may seem simple, but it is actually quite complicated. The stronger the beast form, the harder it is to condense it. Condensing a beast form under one's feet is related to yuan chi. You have to open up several meridians in the soles of your feet and study the barbaric demon beasts to succeed. If you want to condense a beast form, you have to have a sufficient understanding of the barbaric demon beast. More importantly, you need a drop of blood essence from the barbaric demon beast. The three elders told this. To condense a beast form under one's feet, which was the symbol of the origin spirit realm, seemed simple, but it was also very complicated. For example, to condense a phantom image of the azure water red gold beast, one had to have a deep understanding of the beast. More importantly, one needed a drop of blood essence from the azure water red gold beast to succeed. He memorized this by heart and humbly asked for advice, including some other cultivation questions. It was not easy to find such an opportunity, so Su-yi naturally would not let it go. The three elders' attitudes towards Su-yi were originally somewhat vague and hesitant. They did not know what to do with his identity as the Tian Yao School's headmaster. But recently, Su-yi had taken out the complete set of the Demon Spirit, Truth, Savage Scripture, and Heavenly Tiger technique that they had been dreaming of. Also, the terrifying commotion a few days ago made them more and more hesitant. At this moment, regardless of whether they admitted it or not, Su-yi had the identity of the Tian Yao School's headmaster and was humbly asking for advice from them. This made the three elders feel an indescribable sense of accomplishment. This headmaster was also someone they had taught before and had a direct relationship with them. Therefore, he was also related to the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe, so he was not considered an outsider. Thinking that he was not an outsider and had become the Tian Yao School's headmaster, Elder Lulu, Elder Hubu, and the others did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. Su-yi asked the three elders a lot of questions and learned a lot from their answers. Condensing a beast form required the blood essence of a barbaric demon beast. Su-yi felt the barbaric demon beast beside him and thought of Su Tianke. How great would it be if this was really a peacock? But looking at Su Tianke's current state, Su-yi could only give up and not think about it. Su-yi also thought of Qi Nu, but after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was not suitable. As for the fiery-eyed barbaric tiger, white jade mystic bird, and barbaric heavenly leopard, Su-yi pondered for a while and felt that it was not suitable either. Very new. Fastest on_%. Chapter 3:18. Although the fire-eyed barbaric tiger and the white jade mystic bird had already received the inheritance and were no longer the same, Su-yi thought about it and decided to look at it again when he encountered a suitable one in the future. Anyway, he was going to cultivate the Fuyao 100 transformation steps. If he could cultivate it to the phenomenal stage and condense wings, it would be better than condensing the beast form. In the end, Su-yi placed all his attention on the Fuyao 100 transformation steps, hoping to improve it further. In his mind, he carefully comprehended the cultivation information of the Fuyao 100 transformation steps. Su-yi had already opened up dozens of special meridians on his back. If he wanted to condense wings, the dozens of special meridians on his back were the foundation. Yuan Qi gushed out from these meridians, causing collisions and finally condensing into a pair of wings. This process was extremely complicated and required the support of a vast amount of Yuan Qi. However, this was not a problem for Su-yi. All he needed was time. Hula! A faint crimson light flickered behind him, as if a Yuan Qi vortex had appeared on his back. This vortex was like a helicopter's propeller. It had a rising force that lifted Su-yi's toes off the ground. His body swayed and staggered. Bang! Su-yi crashed into a big tree. His face was bruised and swollen from the close contact with the tree trunk. Something's wrong. There's a problem with the flow of Yuan Qi in the meridians. Su-yi did not care about his bruised and swollen face. He was thinking about the problem that had just occurred. Yuan Qi gushed out from dozens of meridians on his back. It would not work if a single meridian was wrong. Wings should have been condensing on his back, not a vortex. Continue. Soon, Su-yi continued to comprehend and cultivate. If he could cultivate wings on the Fuyao 100 transformation steps, he would be able to fly. That would be of great help to him. Whether it was fighting with enemies or facing danger, it would be of great help. This made Su-yi determined that he must cultivate the complete Fuyao 100 transformation steps. Haste makes waste. Control your Yuan Qi and condense it forcefully. You will fail. Su Tianke's figure appeared and leaned against the tree trunk. His fluffy wings were crossed behind his back, and his eyes were indifferent as he stared at Su-yi, who was continuously falling down. You know body movement techniques? Su-yi got up and looked at Su Tianke expectantly. I don't know, but in my memories, I've seen others execute all kinds of movement techniques before. The principle behind it should be the same. Su Tianke pouted and instructed Su-yi like an old man. Su-yi fell in a deep thought. What Su Tianke said made sense. One day later, dusk was beautiful. The sunset glow was like a piece of scarlet red fallen leaves that covered the sky and covered the earth with yellow dust, spreading across the mountains and plains. Under the sunset glow, Azure Water City turned dark purple, as if there was a huge, ancient, ferocious beast in this vast mountain range. The sun set behind the West Mountain, and as the last afterglow of the sunset faded away, the world gradually darkened. Looking from afar, a ball of faint crimson light was flickering and rising like a flame on the mountaintop. Looking closer, a ball of faint crimson light was rising like a crimson radiance. A pair of faint crimson wings appeared on Su-yi's back. Although they were still immature, they had already formed. The faint crimson wings were condensed from his yuan qi and formed on his back. They were about 3 meters long and flowed with radiance. They were as thin as a cicada's wings and had a beautiful arc whoosh. Flapping his wings, Su-yi's body rose into the air. Dust and sand flew around him, but his body was getting higher and higher. Success, success. Su-yi was pleasantly surprised and excited. This was his first success. He had finally condensed his wings. Bang! However, in less than 3 seconds, the yuan qi in his body was affected by his surprise and excitement. With a moment of carelessness, Su-yi's body suddenly fell straight down. Before he could react, he landed on all fours. Huh? Not far away, Su Tianke saw this and laughed loudly. He almost applauded. Hashtag look at the 7th edition, Chapter E, Section N. Are you trying to lay an egg? Su-yi got up and rolled his eyes at Su Tianke. However, he was very happy. At least he had succeeded. You're the one who's laying an egg. Su Tianke stared at Su-yi with a face full of disappointment. Su-yi ignored Su Tianke and continued to practice. It was not easy to achieve substantial results. He must not miss it. He had to strike while the iron was hot. The night passed quickly. When the first rays of the morning sun shone, Su-yi's figure was suspended in the air. The crimson wings on his back flapped slowly. The radiance of the wings spread out, and the arc of the wings was agile. Whoosh! Flapping his wings, Su-yi's body streaked across the sky. He was really flying with his wings spread out. Sometimes he was high, and sometimes he was low. He drifted left and right like a bird in the morning. I finally succeeded. After a while, Su-yi's wings flapped slightly. His body was suspended in the air at a low altitude. His eyes were filled with indescribable joy and shock. He could actually fly for real. In the memories of his previous life, this was something unimaginable. However, he had really done it now. It was unbelievable. This movement technique seems to be extraordinary. However, it seems to be lacking something. Su Tianke squinted his eyes and looked at Su-yi, who was suspended in the air. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Is that so? Su-yi looked at the wings that had condensed on his back and felt them carefully. Although he had condensed the wings, the rising Yao 100 transformative steps had unfathomable changes and infinite variations. However, it still seemed to be lacking something. After all, this was a royal-grade movement technique. Although it was unique, the 13 Swords of Gale was also a royal-grade movement technique. However, until now, he had not been able to cultivate it. However, Su-yi thought that since he had just successfully condensed the wings, it should be because he did not have enough experience. He himself was only at the 3rd level of the Origin Spirit Realm, and being able to barely cultivate the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps was already not bad. He was afraid that he would not be able to display the true might of the royal grade martial skill. After sitting cross-legged on the ground and adjusting his breathing for several hours, Su-yi continued to immerse himself in cultivation. With Su-yi's current level of cultivation, he would not be harmed even if he did not eat for several months. Outside, there were brute beast experts searching for people from Tianyao School. Being in Songlan City, Su-yi had a rare opportunity to cultivate. Therefore, Su-yi wanted to make use of this period of time to cultivate all the martial techniques that he had yet to master. Now that he had achieved some success with the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps, Su Yi wanted to cultivate the Mad Dragon's 3 blades. Back then, Su Yi had obtained the Mad Dragon's 3 blades and the 13 Swords of Gale at the same time. The Mad Dragon's 3 blades was a commander-grade martial technique with a fire attribute. The 13 Swords of Gale was a royal-grade martial technique with a wind attribute. Although the 13 Swords of Gale was a special wind attribute, Su Yi happened to have the wind attribute. However, he was unable to cultivate it back then. Chapter 319. One needed to refine their body with a 10,000-kilogram heavy sword and accumulate it. One also needed soul power to surpass those of the same cultivation level to be able to unleash the power of the 13 Gale swords. It was said that to cultivate this royal-grade sword technique, one needed to be at the Origin Emperor realm. No matter how talented one was, one had to be at the Origin Void realm. Otherwise, one could forget about it. Back then, Su Yi had tried, but was unable to cultivate it. In the end, he cultivated the Frenzy Dragon 3 blades. The Frenzy Dragon 3 blades was a fire attribute commander greatsword technique that focused on ferocity. Once cultivated to the great accomplishment stage, one would be able to wield the blade in the middle of an army of 10,000 as though there was no one there. If humans blocked him, he would kill them. If demons blocked him, he would kill them. The Frenzy Dragon 3 blades only had 3 moves, and Su Yi had only cultivated the first 2 moves, Frenzy Dragon Slash and Berserk Dragon Whirlwind Slash. There was still a 3rd move that he had yet to cultivate. On top of the mountain, Su Yi was brandishing a huge blade in his hand. Su Yi had already lost count of how many spirit weapon level sabers he had swapped out along the way. If he was in Barbarian City, Su Yi wouldn't even dare to think about it. How could he have so many spiritual weapon level blades in his hands? Swish, swish, the huge blade danced and carried a kind of speed amidst the ferocity. It was as though it was drawing deep and shallow lines in the air. The sharpness of the blade is in slashing. Movement techniques are the most important. Jumping over a distance, nimble hands, the blade like a fierce tiger, the momentum like a raging dragon. This was the crux of the Frenzy Dragon 3 blades. The most important thing was to have a powerful momentum, a courageous spirit, strength, harmony, balance, strength, and swift like the wind. Su Yi was comprehending and practicing at the same time. Buzz, buzz. As Su Yi brandished the huge blade in his hand, it was as though there were blade lights and sword shadows. Gradually, the sonorous sound of wind and thunder resounded. It was like a dragon's roar and tiger's roar, emitting a majestic aura like 10,000 horses galloping. After a moment, Su Yi brandished the spiritual weapon blade in his hand. Along with traces of scarlet fire attribute Yuan Qi gushing out, it instantly went berserk. When this saber technique was activated, the space around Su Yi was filled with traces of fire attribute energy that seemed to have materialized into a substance. In an instant, it revolved around the broadsword. A blazing storm appeared, and the energy swept out in all directions. Not far away, the fiery-eyed barbaric tiger, Su Tianke, barbarian heavenly leopard, white jade mystic bird, hell rat, Debao, Shaoling, and all the other barbaric beasts were staring at Su Yi. They could feel the energy around Su Yi's body. They seemed to have sensed something, and their ferocious eyes stared unblinkingly ahead. Activating the saber technique, the blazing fire attribute Yuan Qi continued to spread from Su Yi's body, emitting a blazing and dazzling light. It was as if a small blazing storm had spread around Su Yi's body. A violent and sharp might surged out from within, causing the surrounding air to begin to distort. At this moment, the spiritual weapon in Su Yi's hand was covered in a layer of scarlet light. Yuan Qi poured into the Yuan weapon, causing a layer of strange scarlet color to appear on its surface. It was as if flames were about to spread out, and there was lava flowing on the tip of the blade. Wild Dragon Overlord Slash. In an instant, Su Yi let out a low roar and slashed down with his blade. The scarlet light was like an erupting volcano. It suddenly erupted, and an earth-shattering scarlet aura swept out in all directions. A ray of blade light shot out like a long scarlet thunderbolt. At this moment, the barbaric beasts nearby were shocked. Their ferocious eyes were enveloped by the scarlet blade light that covered the sky, and an incomparably vast and domineering aura swept out. Roar! Within the blade light, there seemed to be a faint shadow of a scarlet dragon. Wherever it passed, the ground cracked, and a wide crack exploded, causing the void to tremble. Bang! Bang! Dozens of feet away, the blade light collided with a huge boulder that was a few thousand kilograms, and an earth-shattering sound reverberated. A tornado-like energy ripple swept out from the collision between the blade light and the huge boulder, spreading out and soaring into the sky. The huge boulder exploded, and a deep pit was revealed. Everything was destroyed, and the terrifying destructive power left the fire-eyed barbaric tiger and the rest dumbfounded. Success! Su Yi's face was pale, but there was a smile on his face. He had finally mastered the third move of the wild dragon's 3 blades. Another 3 days later, Su Yi's 100 transformation steps condensed wings behind his back, and he floated in the air, glistening with light. Scarlet light spread out from his body, emitting an ancient aura, following which a brilliant light shone from his feet, and a layer of yuan qi spread out and covered his legs. The light spread out rapidly, and it was as if there were mysterious and ancient runes flowing on his feet, and a vast aura swept out. At this moment, Su Yi's eyes flashed like lightning, piercing to the eye, sharp and frightening. His entire temperament changed. It was as if a demon god had awakened, and his robe and black hair fluttered behind him. The aura on his body seemed to carry the fury of thunder, and it was powerful and terrifying. Spreading his wings, Su Yi's feet glowed, and his aura became even more powerful, causing people to tremble. Oh, such an aura made the fire-eyed barbaric tiger and the golden python want to crawl, and their eyes were filled with shock. Wrath of the 8 lands, violent shadow shatters the 9 nether. With a low roar, Su Yi kicked out towards the sky, and his footprints were as bright as lightning. In an instant, it was as if countless footprints were kicked out, and light gathered, exploding like a small sun. It was domineering and destructive. Bang, 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 the void rumbled, and under such powerful footprints, the space distorted, and a magnificent energy light surged out. The ground collapsed, and the void trembled, as if it could destroy everything. Oh, when such footprints rushed out, the golden python and the others below trembled and roared in response. Everything calmed down, and the wings on Su Yi's back disappeared. He staggered on the ground, and his face was as pale as ash. Success. But at this moment, there was an uncontrollable smile on Su Yi's pale face. This was the 8 Desolation Fury that he had obtained from the Origin Supreme technique, and there were a total of 3 levels. Back then, Su Yi had already mastered the first step, crushing the mountains and rivers. Now, he was at the 2nd level. After a few days, Su Yi had also learned a lot. But as Su Yi had expected, the 8 Desolation Fury consumed a lot of yuan qi. The first level had already consumed a lot of yuan qi, and the 2nd level was even more so. With his current cultivation at the 3rd level of Origin Spirit Realm, he could barely use the violent shadow, shattering 9 nether once at his peak. Under such circumstances, Su Yi did not even think about the 3rd level of the 8 Desolation Fury. He was afraid that he was not qualified to cultivate it. Su Yi knew the power of the 8 Desolation Fury best. It was a technique from the Origin Supreme technique, and the 2nd level of the 8 Desolation Fury was especially so. Chapter 320. Of course, there was another trump card that Su Yi had always been concealing. It was his identity as a soul controller. Recently, he had been constantly making breakthroughs, stepping into the Essence Spirit Realm. Now he had reached the 3rd Firmament Essence Spirit Realm. Especially after cultivating the ancient Heaven Phase Sutra, Su Yi felt that his soul strength had improved significantly. However, he did not have the opportunity to use it, nor did he wish to expose it. Especially after successfully cultivating the ancient Heaven Phase Sutra, Su-yi was looking forward to it. If there was an opportunity, he would definitely use the Heaven Fei image in the ancient Heaven Fei Sutra. There are a few parts in the previous chapter that were mistakenly written as the image of 10,000 Fei, affecting your reading. My apologies to all my readers. He wanted to see if it was as powerful as the cultivation information claimed. Soul controllers could condense remnant souls and summon them for the soul controller's use. Powerful soul controllers could even summon remnant souls of ancient experts. However, the Heaven Fei image in the ancient Heaven Fei Sutra was not only for the soul controller's use of the remnant soul after it was summoned, but it could also fuse with the soul controller, allowing the soul controller to transform into a remnant soul expert. The most terrifying thing was that if one was talented enough, cultivating the Heaven Fei image would allow one to fuse with a remnant soul expert, allowing one to gain insights into the remnant soul expert's power and use it for one's own use. If one were to summon an ancient beast and gain insights from it, one would obtain the ancient beast's power. In the future, one would be able to conjure the ancient beast's power at any time. How powerful and terrifying would that be? Su-yi only dared to cultivate the ancient Heaven Fei Sutra in Azure Water City. If it were anywhere else other than the barbaric demon forest, Su-yi would probably not dare to cultivate the ancient Heaven Fei Sutra so openly. After tidying up, the sun had already set. Another day had passed. Su-yi sat cross-legged on the ground, condensed his hand seals, and meditated. Recently, Su-yi had already gotten used to such secluded cultivation. He did not plan on returning to his room. The barbaric nethervoid heavenly leopard, golden python, and company automatically stood guard for Su-yi not far away. On the other hand, Debeo and Little Ling were not far from Su-yi, and they also seemed to be cultivating. Shangguan Rock, Xiongzhan, Huqi, Shangguan Shiwei, and the other Tian Yao school disciples were also in seclusion. Their clansmen had been massacred, and their homes had been razed to the ground. This deeply hurt the hearts of the students at Tian Yao School. All of them wanted to become experts at all times so that they could one day take revenge for their clansmen. After obtaining the complete demon spirit, truth, savage scripture, and heavenly tiger arts, they had been diligently cultivating. Phew! In the middle of the night, Su-yi spat out a mouthful of turbid air from his throat. His tightly shut eyes slowly opened. Su-yi's cultivation of martial skills had been completely exhausted, and he only needed to adjust his breathing slightly before he was able to recover. Feeling the surging yuan qi in his dantian's yuan qi vortex, Su-yi could feel that the primordial chaos supreme technique had an obvious advantage in recovering yuan qi. It wasn't something that ordinary cultivation methods could compare with. How long do you plan to stay here? This place is too boring. Su Tiang's voice sounded. He had unknowingly arrived beside Su-yi. Under the moonlight, his small body was covered with a thin layer of luster, shining brightly. During this period of time, Su Tianke had been driven crazy. There were no spiritual herbs to eat in Kanglan City, and there was no way to roast wild beasts to eat. Not to mention that Su-yi had warned him not to cause trouble in Kanglan City. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to protect himself, and he didn't dare to cause trouble. I'll leave in 2 days. Su-yi got up and stretched his body. His bones crackled, and his deep eyes flickered with a faint red glow in the night. In 2 days, it was Su Tiang's turn to be astonished. He looked at Su-yi and asked, "What about Tian Yao School? They should be fine for the time being if they stay here." After stretching, Su-yi stood with his hands behind his back. He lowered his head slightly, as if he was thinking about something. Then he looked up, and his eyes flickered. He had already decided to cultivate the heavenly Fei ancient scripture. Now that everything was almost ready, it was time to leave. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to bring the children of Tian Yao School away. That's great. We can finally leave. Su Tianke was very excited and overjoyed. He flapped his short wings excitedly. "Oh, The golden python, barbaric heavenly leopard, Debeo, Xiaoling, and the others stepped forward. They had heard Su Yi's words and wanted to leave together. Su Yi shook his head. It was inconvenient to bring the golden python and the others with him when leaving Kanglan City. He said, "You guys stay here and train well. I hope that when I return, all of you will have improved." Early the next morning, Su Yi went to look for Demon Emperor Akatsuki. Su Yi informed Demon Emperor Akatsuki of his plans. He wanted to leave alone for a while. "You want to leave Kanglan City?" Demon Emperor Akatsuki was surprised by Su Yi's decision. He was quite puzzled and doubtful. He said, "I received news that some people in the surrounding area couldn't find the Tian Yao School disciples. Many of them left, but this is the barbaric demon forest. With your current cultivation, it won't be easy for a human like you to leave. Thank you for your concern, Demon Emperor, but I have made up my mind. I will leave the children of Tian Yao School to you. I will repay your kindness in the future." Sui bowed. Akatsuki looked at Sui. He seemed to be thinking about something. His eyes were uncertain. After a while, Akatsuki looked at Sui and said seriously, "Okay, but you have to come back soon. After all, the children of Tian Yao School are humans. Even if they don't show up in Kanglan City, they will inevitably be exposed. It will be inconvenient. Therefore, I can't always protect the children of Tian Yao School for you. Give me some time. 5 years at most. I will definitely come back within 5 years." Sui said after pondering for a while. Sui didn't know what level he would reach in 5 years, but he hoped that he could reach a new level by then. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to take the children of Tian Yao School out of Kanglan City. 5 years. Akatsuki looked at Sui. He seemed to be thinking about something. Finally, he nodded and said, "Okay, I will give you 5 years. Thank you, Demon Emperor. There is one more thing I want to ask of you," Sui said. "You little brat, you have a lot of things to ask of me. Say it." Akatsuki was very surprised. If this was an ordinary human brat, he wouldn't even dare to breathe in front of him. He would have been scared to death. But this brat in front of him seemed to be indifferent. He could face him calmly, neither servile nor overbearing. He even gave him an inexplicable feeling of being suppressed. Akatsuki smiled bitterly in his heart. Indeed, this brat in front of him was not an ordinary human. How could a guy who could bring about a catastrophe be normal? Chapter 321. The Savage Demon Forest was a paradise for savage demon beasts. It was a good place for the golden python to train. He hoped that Akatsuki could take care of it. You must be talking about the hell rat, golden python, white jade mystic bird, and the other savage demon beasts. Akatsuki's eyes flickered. He said to Su, "I've paid attention to those savage demon beasts. They seem to be extraordinary. Kanglan City is in need of people recently. I will pay attention to them." "Thank you, Demon King." Sui thanked him and bowed again. Demon King Akatsuki was willing to protect him. Even if it was just normal treatment, Sui knew that with the potential of the golden python, the fire-eyed savage tiger, and the other savage demon beasts, they would be like dragons returning to the sea and tigers returning to the forest. Sui turned around and left. Pay more attention. Something big has happened in this area recently and caused a lot of commotion. You are a human, so pay more attention to it. Demon King Akatsuki stopped Sui and reminded Sui. "Thank you, Demon King." Sui thanked him and left. "Big brother, is this kid planning to run away by himself? The Tian Yao School's treasures are most likely with him." Following Sui's departure, a yellow-robed elder walked out. Looking in the direction Sui had left, his eyes flashed and his brows furrowed. Is this kid trying to run away? Although humans are greedy and afraid of death, this kid is not such a person, Akatsuki said with a smile. "Big brother, how can you be so sure? If this kid doesn't come back with the treasures from the Tian Yao School, it won't be easy for us to get them again," the yellow-robed old man said. "Don't worry. The cultivation techniques that he taught those humans, the martial skills that he practiced these days, everything he did, isn't it to prove his potential to me? He will come back." OE square root, Akatsuki smiled faintly as he watched Su Yi's departing figure. There was a hint of admiration in his eyes. But this kid is really not simple. He has such achievements at such a young age. If there are no accidents, I'm afraid it won't be long before he becomes a terrifying powerhouse among the humans. The yellow-robed old man said. His eyes were filled with shock. During this period of time, he had been spying on Lin Fan. However, the more he spied on him, the more shocked he was. The martial skill that Lin Fan had cultivated was not to be underestimated. It was enough to defeat opponents of a higher cultivation level. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing how much this kid has grown in 5 years. Akatsuki smiled, his eyes flashing with a profound meaning that was hard to fathom. After Sui bid farewell to Demon Emperor Akatsuki, he went to look for Chi-Nu. Brother Sui, are you leaving? Chi-Nu was shocked. He still wanted to fight with Sui in a few days to continue training himself. I'll be back. When the time comes, we'll have a good fight. Sui smiled. All right. During this period of time, I'll be going out to train myself too. Chi-Nu said. Although he had encountered the golden-patterned ancient scorpion when he went out to train, he still needed to continue training himself if he wanted to become stronger. Dabeo, Xiaoling, and the others, please take care of them. Sui asked Chi-Nu. Although Demon Emperor Akatsuki had promised to take care of them, how could a Demon Emperor care about a few Demon Spirit Realm brute beasts? Sui wanted Chi-Nu to take care of them. Don't worry. Leave everything to me. Chi-Nu's beast language was sonorous as he replied straightforwardly. Keep this for yourself. It'll be very beneficial for you. I hope that when I return, we can have a good fight. Finally, Sui took out a small jade bottle from his bosom. Inside, it was the spiritual liquid from a mysterious space. Not long ago, when he was struck by lightning, his clothes were destroyed. Fortunately, his interspatial bag escaped the disaster and fell to the ground. Inside, it was a bottle of spiritual liquid. Sui gave a bottle of spiritual liquid to Demon Emperor Akatsuki, but this bottle was for Chi-Nu. He didn't tell Akatsuki. Sui believed that when the time comes, Demon Emperor Akatsuki would also know about it. Sui was very clear about the effect of the spiritual liquid on brute beasts. It would be a huge opportunity. He hoped that Demon Emperor Akatsuki would be able to defeat more disciples of the ancient Tianyao school in the coming years. I won't stand on ceremony with you. Although you're a human from now on, you're my brother, Chi-Nu. Chi-Nu didn't stand on ceremony. He knew that Sui wasn't an ordinary person. The things he took out wouldn't be simple. Besides, he could already feel the terrifying aura from the jade bottle. The contents of the jade bottle were definitely precious. Sui smiled and bid farewell to Chi-Nu. After a while, Sui found some disciples of the Tianyao school. There were only a few children and young girls. Most of the disciples of the Tianyao school were still busy with their secluded cultivation. Sui didn't disturb them. After all, it was only a short farewell. He only said a few words to the children and young girls. At dusk, the setting sun was as red as blood. Sui and Su Tianke left. Sir, the golden python, fiery-eyed barbaric tiger, scarlet-fired demon mink, white jade mystic bird, Dabeo, Xiaoling, and the others watched them leave reluctantly. Kanglan City was shrouded in burning clouds. The silhouettes of a man and a chicken gradually disappeared into the mountain path, leaving long shadows behind them. 5 years. I'd like to see how far you can go. In Kanglan City, on a towering mountain peak, Akatsuki watched the figures at the foot of the mountain from afar. His eyes shone with interest. The sun was setting over the mountain range. A young man appeared. He looked thin, but his body was tall and straight. His face wasn't pale, but his facial features were very distinct. The young man was not very old. His skin had a bronze color, but it was as clear as warm jade. His eyes under his slender eyebrows flashed with a bright light. His long robe could not hide his special temperament. This temperament was very complicated. It was a little arrogant, a little evil, and showed a kind of tenacity. This temperament seemed to come from his bones. If one looked closely, it would make one's soul tremble. What was more eye-catching was that the young man was carrying a rusty and broken sword and a large saber on his back. The saber had a scabbard, but the sword had no scabbard. They were intertwined with a thin and tough vine on his back. Behind the young man was a chicken. It was a bald chicken with short legs shaking and fleshy wings flapping. It was definitely eye-catching. A half-grown youth dressed like this, coupled with a bald chicken jumping about, was enough to give people a special kind of impact, and people couldn't help but take a few more glances. 5 years. How far can I go in 5 years? Looking at the setting sun, the young man squinted his eyes and muttered to himself. Then, a faint evil smile appeared on his face, revealing a kind of confidence and a kind of tenacity in his eyes. Let's find a place to eat meat first. How about that? The chicken opened its mouth and looked around. Thinking about the taste of roasted meat, it almost drooled. Do you want to be eaten by other barbaric beasts like a turkey? Chapter 3:22. A night passed, and the sun rose from the east. He stopped his breathing and stretched. He stood up and looked at the rising sun. Where are we going now? It's not safe in this savage demon forest. Tianke flapped his short wings, his eyes shining. Leave the savage demon forest. Sui said. He already had a plan in mind. The savage demon forest was not a place where he could train casually. After all, this was a paradise for savage demon beasts, the land of the demon race. As a human, there were many inconveniences. Then where do you plan to go? Tianke asked. The Chaos region. Sui opened his mouth and uttered 3 words. The Chaos region. Back then, Sui had planned to go there. Who knew that he would go deeper and deeper into the savage demon forest and enter the savage demon forest? The Chaos region? What kind of place is that? Tianke was puzzled. He had never heard of it. You don't know about the Chaos region? Sui asked Tianke. I don't know. There's no such place in my memory. Tianke shook his head, his memory a little confused. In any case, it's a good place. He pursed his lips and smiled. The Chaos region was rumored to be a special place like the barbarian demon forest. The 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea had the 1 mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 groups, respectively. There were also 2 special places, the savage demon forest and the Chaos region. Strictly speaking, the Chaos region was even more special than the savage demon forest. According to Sui's knowledge, the Chaos region was extremely large. It was not much different from the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea. However, for some reason, the Chaos region was not touched by the 1 mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 groups. It was independent of the 1 mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 groups. At the same time, the Chaos region was very chaotic, much more so than the savage demon forest. Most importantly, the Chaos region was not only chaotic, it was also filled with endless danger. Head be hair, the Chaos region was rumored to be a cannibalistic place. It was a pure law of the jungle, where the strong were respected. There was no logic. It was a paradise for loose cultivators. Rogue cultivator was the name given to those who didn't belong to any sect, or those who were so small that they had never heard of the name of their sect. He was a loose cultivator. Other than the Tian Yao school, strictly speaking, he didn't belong to any sect. He wanted to explore the Chaos realm. Although it was more cruel there, he could become stronger faster. The Chaos region was a heaven for tempering oneself. In these 5 years, Sui knew that he had to constantly sharpen himself in order to quickly break through and become a powerhouse. With his primeval chaos supreme art, his identity as a soul controller, and the mysterious space within the sphere of light, he was able to unleash his full power in the realm of chaos without any misgivings. Primordial chaos supremacy, the identity of a soul controller, the use of the mysterious space within the mysterious blob of light, and the cultivation of the ancient Heavenly Face Sutra gave Sui some confidence that he would be able to grow stronger in the chaos domain. One day, he would definitely become a powerhouse. Moreover, He couldn't stay in the barbarian demon forest. After killing the young master of the Black Fiend sect, he wasn't stupid enough to stay in the barbarian demon forest. That's a good place. I like to see it. Tianke was very excited. He had been holding back for a while. As long as he could leave the barbarian demon forest, he would be happy. Grandpa, I'm going to the Chaos region. Take care of yourself. It won't be long before I return to the barbarian city. Looking in the direction of the Chaos region, Su Yi's eyes were a little red. It had been so long, and he didn't know how his grandpa was doing. However, he still couldn't go back. Although he had the blood jade spirit ginseng, he didn't know if it could heal his grandpa's injuries. Then, Su Yi's eyes became resolute. He formed a hand seal, and a faint red light flickered behind him like a flame. It became more and more dazzling, like a red radiance. Then, a pair of red wings formed behind Su Yi's back. They were about 3 meters long and overflowed with light. They were as thin as a cicada's wings and had a beautiful arc whoosh, flapping his wings. Su Yi's body suddenly rose into the air. Along with the surrounding dust and sand, he floated in the air like a bird. Let's go. At this moment, the sky was high. Su Yi wanted to test the profundity of his rising Yao's 100 transformation steps. He flapped his wings and glided through the air. Wait for me. Su Tianke flapped his short wings, but he couldn't fly. He shouted from below. Awoo! In a vast mountain range, a deep roar was heard. It shook the mountains and trees. Why are there so many barbarian demon beasts everywhere? And there are so many strong barbarian demon beasts. Su Yi and Su Tianke hid in the dense thorns. They restrained their auras and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The forest shook and the towering trees swayed. Huge barbarian demon beasts passed by and broke the branches. A strong smell of blood assailed their nostrils. I don't know. I feel like something is wrong. Su Tianke looked up and probed the bushes. Are they looking for Tian Yao School? Su Yi frowned. It wasn't normal to encounter so many barbarian demon beasts in such a short distance. He suspected that they were still looking for Tian Yao School. I don't think so. Su Tianke shook his head. These barbarian demon beasts didn't look like they were looking for someone. Awoo. Ferocious barbarian demon beasts walked upright. They were about 10 feet tall and had a single horn. They were fast, but their bodies were huge. Awoo. A ferocious bird with a wingspan of more than 10 meters flew across the sky. Awoo. Then, a large number of barbarian demon beasts rushed out. The barbarian demon beasts roared like thunder. The earth shook and the mountains shook. A black mass of barbarian demon beasts rushed out like a flash flood. It's a beast tide. He was shocked. The ground shook, and many towering trees were knocked down. The barbarian demon beasts roared and galloped, flattening many mountains. It was a beast tide. Why are there so many barbarian demon beasts? Are they going to fight? Su Tianke was puzzled. Awoo! The barbarian demon beasts' roars were earth-shattering everywhere. Gravel shot out and rocks collapsed. It was a terrifying scene. There are barbarian demon void realm experts. Su Yi hid in the thorny bushes. He looked up and saw a huge barbarian demon beast floating in the sky. Its whole body was covered in black light, and its aura was terrifying. Behind this barbarian demon beast was a ferocious bird. Its whole body was red, and its wings were as beautiful as fire. When it flapped, flames filled the sky. Hide! Su Tianke took a few steps back. He didn't dare to show his head. He was afraid that the beast tide would trample over them. Fortunately, the place where he was hiding was very remote. Even so, the beast tide was extremely terrifying. The collapse of the mountain rocks was like an earthquake. When the beast tide roared past, Su Yi and Su Tianke were also buried in the dust. Chapter 3:23. What's going on? Su Tianke shook his body and flapped his wings, shaking off the dirt and rocks on his body. Su Yi frowned. He recalled what Demon Emperor Qi Qing had said before he left. There was a huge commotion caused by IE in the vicinity. Could it be related to that? Let's avoid it. We'll take a detour. After pondering for a while, Su Yi decided to take a detour. It's better to avoid the path of the demon beast horde. If he encountered the demon beast horde, he would be dead. Su Yi knew the general direction of the Chaos Realm. After calculating the route, he continued on his journey. This time, Su Yi wanted to go the Chaos Realm. Perhaps the Chaos Realm would be more suitable for him to develop. In the Chaos Realm, everyone was a rogue cultivator. There was no need to worry about the Black Fiend sect or the 3 sects and 4 factions. As for the Fuyao's 100 transformation steps, he could fly. However, Su Yi didn't dare to use it carelessly. He didn't dare to show off in the barbaric demon forest. Not to mention that it would attract the attention of the barbaric demon beast experts. The sky was filled with flying barbaric demon beasts. If his human identity was discovered, he would be immediately surrounded. Ordinary barbaric demon beasts would be fine, as the Origin Supreme technique could suppress them. However, this was the barbaric demon forest. Barbaric demon beast experts could appear at any time. At that time, it would be troublesome. He changed his route and continued on his journey. However, this was the barbaric demon forest. No matter what, Su Yi would encounter barbaric demon beasts. Fortunately, he had the Origin Supreme technique. These barbaric demon beasts were generally in the demon spirit realm or demon true realm. Demon illusionary realm barbaric demon beasts weren't everywhere. Releasing the aura of the Origin Supreme technique, Su Yi didn't encounter too many obstacles along the way. However, when the barbaric demon beasts sensed the aura released by Su Yi, they immediately avoided him and didn't dare to approach. "Do you want some meat?" "I haven't eaten meat in a long time." Su Tianke stood on Su Yi's shoulder and muttered to Su. Along the way, Su Tianke followed them slowly. In the end, Su Yi had no choice but to put him on his shoulder. Su Yi rolled his eyes at Su Tianke. Was this guy really a peacock? Did peacocks like meat that much? Su Yi looked at the sky and saw that another day had passed without any mishaps. He said, "Let's find a place to rest for a while and continue our journey tomorrow." As the sun set in the west, the mountains turned dark purple under the sunset glow. By the time Su Yi found a secluded place, night had already fallen. We're already far away from Tsanglan City, so there shouldn't be anyone paying attention. Su Yi pondered. It had already been a few days since he left Azure Water City. Although he wasn't traveling at a fast speed, he reckoned that he should be quite far away. There shouldn't be any experts who would notice him. Releasing his soul power, Su Yi felt that the surroundings were secluded. There weren't even any traces of barbaric beasts around. Only then did he call out the mysterious space in his mind. Although it hadn't been long since he entered the mysterious space, Su Yi's cultivation had already reached level 3 Origin Spirit stage. He wanted to see the changes in the mysterious space. Every time his cultivation improved, there would be many changes in the mysterious space. Just as Su Yi expected, the mysterious space had expanded by quite a bit. Although the energy of heaven and earth was still quite dense, it was much stronger than the outside world. There seemed to be no yuan stones to absorb, but the mysterious space seemed to be able to automatically store the energy of heaven and earth. It was just that the spiritual liquid was almost exhausted. Inside the mysterious space, the blood jasper ginseng was still absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. It didn't react much to Su Yi's arrival. After tidying up, Su Yi left the mysterious space. He pondered about finding some yuan stones. When the energy of the mysterious space reached its peak, it would be much easier to cultivate. Keeping the mysterious space, Su Yi looked at the sky. He was still in the barbaric demon forest. He didn't know when he would reach the chaos region. Although he could fly, he didn't dare to attract too much attention in the barbaric demon forest. There's a water source. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, Su Yi heard the sound of water nearby. Su Yi wanted to wash up as he thought about how he had spent the past few days in the open, how he had encountered a beast tide, and how he had been covered in dirt. Listening to the sound of water, Su Yi's figure was like a ghost in the night. With the help of the moonlight, he gradually approached the source of the sound. Shuttling through the dense forest, Su Yi found the water source. It was a pool surrounded by rock walls. The pool was not small. The water was clear and clean, and the environment was quiet. "Wash up, Sue." He was overjoyed. It had been a long time since he had washed up. Splash. Immediately, Sue took off his clothes and sword. Then he jumped into the pool. The water was cold, but it wasn't freezing. Sue, who hadn't washed up for a long time, suddenly felt very comfortable. Hula. Suddenly, just as Sue dove headfirst into the pool, the sound of water splashing could be heard from the center of the pool. Under the moonlight, a human figure emerged from the water as the water droplets splashed everywhere. When he saw the figure that emerged from the pool, Suyi's eyes were filled with astonishment and shock. Under the hazy moonlight, the silhouette was graceful. Her wet hair stuck to her snow-white shoulders, and droplets of water dripped from her delicate skin. This hair was very special. It was a faint silver. The ripples in the water revealed an extremely alluring and small waist that could not even be held in one hand. Close at hand, Sue saw that the skin on her small waist was tight, and her waist was flexible. Accompanied by the ripples in the water, the graceful figure jumped out of the water. Her straight and slender legs, her skin as white as jade. Droplets of water fell on the surface of the water. It was as if they were beating on Suyi's heart, making his blood surge. Such a scene was enough to make any man's blood surge. This was a perfect body carved out of white jade. There were no flaws to be found. It was soft as if there were no bones. It had a tight luster, and the curves were natural. It was incomparably moving. Sue was stunned. He almost had a nosebleed. God knew that Sue was also a virgin in his previous life. He had never encountered such a thing in his life. Then, Sue looked at the face of the owner of this perfect body. Under the moist and cold air, under the moonlight, the face was young. It looked like a girl of 16 or 17 years old. She had bright eyes and white teeth. Her eyelashes were thick, and her eyes were charming. A pair of sexy and plump lips seemed to reveal a myriad of emotions at all times. The girl was already charming. At this moment, she was dripping wet as if she had just come out of the bath. She looked even more charming. Emin first. However, when he saw the girl's charming face, Suyi's blood instantly turned from surging to icy cold. His expression suddenly changed. Demon Emperor! A shocked voice came from Suyi's mouth. How could Sui forget this girl's face? He had seen this girl's terrifying strength with his own eyes. Hei Ming of the Black Fiend sect was injured by her in one move. Chapter 324. Human Brat. So, it's you. The Nine Lives Cat Demon recognized Sui. Her eyebrows were slender like a painting, and there was a chill in her alluring eyes. It's not me, sister. You got the wrong person. Sue turned and ran in shock. Yuan Shi gushed out from the soles of his feet, and he was as fast as lightning. In an instant, he ran to the shore naked. Sue picked up the sword and clothes on the ground. He did not have time to get on the boat and quickly ran into the dense forest with them. This was a Demon Emperor expert, the Nine Lives Cat Demon. Sue had seen how terrifying she was with his own eyes. She had even chased after him before. Fortunately, she was stopped by Merciless West. Now that they had met again, Sue did not have the confidence to fight back. The only thing he could think of was to run as fast as he could. There was no need to fight at all. He was definitely no match for her. Brat, where do you think you're going? Behind Sue, the Nine Lives Cat Demon shouted. She did not expect Sue to be so fast, running away naked. Looking at the smooth buttocks in the distance, the Nine Lives Cat Demon could not help but be stunned for a moment before giving chase. Sue did not have the time to pay attention to the shout behind him. He did not dare to stay any longer and ran away. Sue, what's going on? Su Tianke was alarmed. He followed the sound and came out of nowhere. When he saw Sue running towards him with his buttocks still naked, he was stunned. Why are you naked again? Do you have a fetish for exhibitionism? You're the one with a fetish for exhibitionism. There's a demon emperor chasing after you. Sue did not stop at all. He ran away like a wisp of smoke beside Su Tianke. After reaching the third level of Origin Spirit Realm, Su Yi's speed had increased significantly. Coupled with his recent success in comprehending the 100 steps of Fuyao, Su Yi's speed had increased significantly. A demon emperor chasing after you. Wait for me. Where did you offend a demon emperor? Why are you so good at causing trouble? Su Tianke was stunned. In that instant, he subconsciously ran away. His short wings flapped, and he wished he had 2 more legs. Brat, you can't escape. The 9 lives demon cat caught up, her body floating in the air. She was already wearing a white, low-cut dress, revealing her snow-white breasts. The hem of the dress was very short, only covering her knees. A white belt tied around her waist, making her waist even more slender, making her breasts even more plump. Her silver, wavy hair was no longer wet, dancing behind her. On her delicate and beautiful face, her eyes were ice cold, but her face was currently pale. Chila! A beam of light shot out from the 9 lives demon cat's hand. Like an arrow, it streaked across the sky and shot towards the fleeing Su Yi. With his sharp soul power, Su Yi detected the arrow-like energy radiance. He shifted his feet and dodged it as if he had eyes on his back. Chila! Su Tianke followed behind Su Yi. Su Yi dodged the arrow-like attack, but Su Tianke was trapped. The arrow-like energy radiance was like a sharp arrow, accurately landing on Su Tiang's buttocks. Ah! Su Tiang's small body flew forward and landed in front of Su Yi with a blood-curdling scream echoing in the night sky. His small body staggered and rolled twice, screaming in pain. A visible wound the size of a pinky finger appeared on his buttocks. However, the wound wasn't too serious. Only a little blood seeped out. Su Yi lifted Su Tianke up and threw him on his shoulder. He asked, "Are you all right?" Unspecified currency, most F new chapter 10 above. Master K is in so much pain. Who is that woman? She's too cruel. My buttocks. Su Tianke clutched Su Yi's shoulder tightly, looking back at the 9 lives demon cat who was chasing after them in the air. His eyes were filled with anger. She's the 9 lives demon cat, Su Yi said, not daring to look back. He ran as fast as he could, vitality swirling under his feet like a vortex. His speed was shocking. 9 lives demon cat. Does the 9 spirits lynx still have its bloodline? Su Tianke seemed a little surprised when he heard that, but it was only for a moment. He immediately put on a sullen and angry face and said, "I'm a peacock. How dare she hurt my buttocks? It hurts a man and a chicken, a bare-bottomed young man and a bald chicken, fleeing at high speed in the dark of the night." This scene was too beautiful. Stop talking. Let's see if the demon cat has caught up with us. Su Yi's escape interrupted Su Tiang's muttering. He didn't know if the 9 lives demon cat had caught up with them. I don't think so. Su Tianke looked back at the void behind him. He didn't see any trace of the woman through the dense forest. That's strange. Su Yi was very surprised, but he didn't slow down. He found it strange. The 9 lives demon cat was a demon emperor. Logically speaking, no matter how fast he ran, it was impossible for him to escape. That 9 lives demon cat seems a little special. She's a demon emperor, but her strength seems to be affected. Su Tianke was a little surprised that the 9 lives demon cat hadn't caught up with him. Although the injury on his buttocks was very painful, it was also strange. If the 9 lives demon cat was a demon emperor, his injury might have been more serious. After running for a while, he felt that there was no movement behind him. This time, Su Yi carefully relaxed. He slowed down his footsteps and turned around to look behind him. In the dense and dark forest, the moonlight shone through the gaps between the towering trees, casting mottled shadows on the ground that was covered with withered leaves. There was no trace of the 9 lives demon cat. Why didn't she catch up with me? Su Yi stopped completely. He was very surprised. My buttocks. Why are women these days so cruel? Su Tianke muttered, feeling wronged. The last time he was roasted by that woman, he almost became a turkey. This time, he was hurt by that woman again. He couldn't help but be traumatized. Get down. Su Yi threw Su Tianke down and immediately put on the clothes he was holding. He quickly carried his sword and saber on his back. He was running around in the middle of the night with his buttocks bare. Fortunately, he was in the barbaric demon forest and no one saw him. Be careful. Suddenly, Su Tianke cried out in alarm. A dazzling red light gushed out from his eyes, and his whole body was covered with radiance. So he also felt it. Following the movement detected by his soul power, he immediately looked to the side and saw a graceful figure quietly appear. Her beautiful figure was curvaceous, moving, and naturally charming. Especially her eyes, under the night sky, they were like the most beautiful amber in the world. They flowed with light, overflowed with color, and were filled with a mysterious feeling. It was as if a single glance at them was sufficient to cause one's imagination to run wild, and it caused one's heart to palpitate for no reason. The figure appeared silently and without a trace, as if she had appeared out of thin air. 9 Lives Demon Cat, this is bad. Su Yi's expression changed. He didn't expect the 9 Lives Demon Cat to be following him. He immediately ran away. Chapter 325. The 9 Lives Cat Demon opened her mouth, her red lips faintly parting as a cold glint flashed in her amber-like eyes. She lifted her slender fingers, and several energy glows seemed to dance in the darkness like snakes as they swept toward Su Yi, sealing off all of Su Yi's escape routes. As the 9 Lives Cat Demon attacked, the surrounding space trembled for no reason as a wave of chilling energy undulated. Su Yi's expression changed. Those energy glows all contained a kind of evil qi. Stepping out with the 100 transformation steps, a Yuan Qi light shield immediately formed around his body as he inconceivably shuttled through the evil energy glows. However, one of the energy glows was not avoided by Su Yi. As if it had a mind of its own, it coiled around Su Yi's shoulder, instantly piercing through the Yuan Qi light shield that Su Yi had formed. Feeling the evil energy force behind him, Su Yi's face was alarmed. He immediately turned around, Yuan Qi covering his hand as he hurriedly sent out a palm strike to defend against the chilling energy force. Asterisk pla. Asterisk the chilling energy force broke through the Yuan Qi covering Su Yi's palm, violently slamming into Su Yi's palm. Asterisk thud, thud. Asterisk Su Yi's body staggered backwards as pain transmitted from his palm. A trace of blood had appeared, but it was only the surface of his skin that had been injured, and not the muscles and bones of his palm. Yuan Spirit Stage, you do have some ability. The 9 Lives Cat Demon seemed to be somewhat astonished by Su Yi's progress. She still remembered that not long ago, the human youth was still weak and insignificant. It had not been long, and yet he had already reached the Yuan Spirit Stage. Logically speaking, it was very unlikely for an Essence Spirit Stage human to be able to withstand that attack of hers. For some reason, the 9 Lives Cat Demon's alluring face had turned even paler after her previous attack. But all of this is useless. Is the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng on you? Hand it over, and I can spare your life. The 9 Lives Cat Demon looked at Su Yi as her eyes flickered with an alluring light, but the coldness within made one's heart palpitate. I don't know about the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng either. It's not on me. Su Yi shook his head. This 9 Lives Demon cat was still thinking about the Blood Jade Ginseng. The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng was related to the treatment of his grandfather's injuries. Su Yi naturally wouldn't hand it over. Brat, you were able to deceive others last time, but you can't deceive me. The Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng must be with you. This time, there is no one to protect you. Hand over the Blood Jade Spirit Ginseng, or die. Killing intent filled the 9 Lives Demon Cat's eyes. Little Demon Cat, you've angered your Lord Sparrow. A loud shout was heard, and a blazing flame rose up and swept out in an instant. The 9 Lives Cat seemed to have sensed something. Her expression changed, and she quickly turned around. At this moment, a raging flame spread out, and a terrifying flame spread out. Within the flames, Su Tiang's small figure could be seen. His entire body was wrapped in magma-like flames, and he exuded an extremely terrifying aura. This is the 9 Lives Demon Cat looked dignified. The aura was so strange that she couldn't even tell the origin of this brute demon beast. However, The invisible aura that permeated the air caused her heart to secretly tremble. It was sufficient to show that the origins of this seemingly inconspicuous rabbit feather chicken was likely not simple, and there was something special about it. "You've hurt your Lord Sparrows, but I'm not done with you." Su Tianke was infuriated. He could sense that there was something wrong with the demon cat's Demon Emperor stage. Suddenly, a gust of fire swept out from his body and spread out from the void, burning the surrounding towering trees into nothingness. The blazing flames were so terrifying that they caused the entire space to fluctuate. They whizzed toward the Nine Lives demon cat. "Where did you come from?" The Nine Lives demon cat's face was filled with shock. She quickly retreated, and a dazzling light spread out from her hand. It condensed into a palm print, and she slammed it toward the billowing flames. There was an evil aura in the palm print. When it came into contact with the billowing flames, it seemed to be somewhat suppressed. However, there was a terrifying force that extinguished the flames in the sky. Rumble! The ground began to crack, and a large number of towering trees were destroyed. "So you're seriously injured? What are you being so arrogant for?" Su Tianke shouted, flapping his short wings. "You seem to be very happy," he said loudly to Su Yi. "Su Yi, this little demon cat is seriously injured." /3 As soon as he finished speaking, Su Tianke's aura increased. Flames appeared around his small body, and the blazing aura became more and more intense. Boom! At the same time, the earth shook, and a terrifying aura rushed into the sky. Su Yi operated the Origin Supreme technique with all his might. A crimson vitality light shield covered his body, and a majestic, destructive, murderous aura spread out. The Nine Lives demon cat turned around and looked at Su Yi. There were ripples in her eyes, as if she had felt some kind of aura. She was very shocked. Looking at Su Yi and Su Tianke, the Nine Lives demon cat's eyes rippled violently. Such a human youth and a bald chicken did not seem to be ordinary beings. With her current strength, it was not easy to deal with them. Moreover, it was extremely disadvantageous for her. "Humph! How dare you hurt my butt? I'm not done with you." Su Tianke looked at the Nine Lives demon cat. Seeing that she seemed to have some misgivings, his aura became even stronger. The flames around his body roared and gathered together, surging violently. The scorching heat was enough to burn one's skin. Whoosh! Su Tianke's fluffy short wings flapped fiercely, and his body took advantage of the momentum to soar into the air. His short wings seemed extremely small, but they exploded with a sea of fire, covering the sky and earth. In an instant, they pounced on the Nine Lives demon cat. Su Yi made his move. With a flip of his hand, he unsheathed the spirit saber on his back and infused it with his vitality. The spirit saber slashed out, accompanied by wisps of crimson fire attribute Yuan Qi. Wisps of fire attribute Yuan Qi that seemed to have solidified spread out from the void. They instantly wrapped around the saber and rotated around it. A blazing storm appeared, and the energy swept out in all directions. Boom! At this moment, Su Yi's body seemed to have formed a small blazing storm. A violent and sharp aura emerged from it, causing the surrounding air to begin to distort. At this moment, the spirit weapon in Su Yi's hand was also covered in a layer of crimson light. It was as if flames were about to spread out, and there was lava flowing on the tip of the saber. Wild Dragon Overlord Slash. With a loud shout in his heart, Su Yi slashed down with the saber. In an instant, a saber light, like a long red thunderbolt, burst out. The saber light, accompanied by the crimson light, was like an erupting volcano. It suddenly erupted, and an earth-shattering crimson aura swept out. Roar! The shadow of a crimson dragon was faintly discernible within the saber light. The violent and sharp aura exploded with a bang, as if it could cut through the void. Two attacks came from the left and right. Chapter 326. The Nine Lives Cat Demon made her move. Her fair and slender fingers danced, and dense cold energy light swept out, blocking Su Yi's saber light and Su Tianke's attack. Chilala, the collision caused a muffled sound of energy to reverberate, and tornado-like energy ripples swept out from the collision, spreading out and soaring into the sky. The surrounding boulders were shattered, and deep pits were blasted open. Waves of fire roared, burning the surroundings and destroying everything. The terrifying destructive power was so strong that the surroundings were a mess. The Nine Lives Cat Demon's beautiful figure staggered, her brows furrowed. She seemed to be greatly affected. Su Yi and Su Tiang's figures were also blasted back. Neither of them had a good ending. Boom! Su Tianke stopped, and a faint shadow seemed to appear around his small body. An indescribably terrifying pressure rose wildly, as if he was really angry and was about to erupt with all his strength. Su Tiang's change made the Nine Lives Cat Demon's beautiful, pale face reveal a hint of surprise again. Boom! Sui stopped. The blood in his body was surging, and he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he held it in and pushed the Origin Supreme technique to the extreme. Su-Yi pondered. It seemed that the Nine Lives Cat Demon was indeed in big trouble. If he and Su Tianke went all out today, they might have a chance. The Nine Lives Cat Demon looked at Su-Yi and Su Tianke. She felt the aura from the shadow around Su Tianke and Su-Yi's aura, and her brows furrowed even more. Suddenly, the Nine Lives Cat Demon seemed to feel something. She immediately raised her eyes and looked into the distance. Her face suddenly became extremely solemn. In the next moment, the Nine Lives Demon Cat formed a series of handprints in her hands. Rays of light and mist rose from the surrounding void, causing the surrounding vision to become blurry. It was as if the void was sinking. Seeing the Nine Lives Cat Demon's actions, Su-Yi and Su Tianke were a little surprised. At the same time, the Nine Lives Cat Demon's voice rang out. If you don't want to die, hide your aura. The surrounding void began to distort and become blurry. The moonlight disappeared, and the area within a radius of 3,000 meters began to blur, as if it had fallen into chaos. Even the air no longer flowed, returning to a deathly stillness. Only Su-Yi and Su Tiang's auras were still surging. This is bad. Su-Yi's eyes sank, and he was shocked. He didn't know what kind of method the Nine Lives Demon Cat had used to envelop the surrounding space. How could she restrain her aura? Su-Yi tightened his grip on the spirit weapon in his hand, ready for battle. Restrain your aura if you don't want to die. Otherwise, you're all dead meat. When the Nine Lives Cat Demon sensed Su-Yi's aura, her pale face became anxious. Could it be that I'm going to allow myself to be captured without putting up a fight and be slaughtered by you? Su-Yi said coldly as a dignified and overbearing pressure emanated from him. Now that things had come to this, he could only fight with his life on the line. Puny human, do you want to die? The Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat's anxious face was filled with coldness. However, when she sensed Su-Yi and Su Tiang's auras, she had no choice but to grit her teeth and stare at Su-Yi. She said, restrain your aura. I promise I won't kill you. My method is only to conceal this space. When a great enemy comes, your aura will be exposed. When that happens, no one will be able to escape. Concealed space. A great enemy is coming. Su-Yi's eyes moved. Since the Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat was so nervous, it must be a great enemy of the Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat. This seems to be the Cat Demon Cat's concealment method. Su Tianke looked around as his small body emerged from the flames. This great enemy is looking for you, right? It has nothing to do with us. Su-Yi looked at the Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat and probed. It'll be too late if you don't restrain your aura now. Ignorant human, once you're exposed, let's see if you can survive. If they want to kill you, it'll be as easy as stepping on ants. The Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat's face was extremely pale. She stared at Su-Yi and said, if her eyes could kill, Su-Yi would have been cut into pieces. Su-Yi pondered. The Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat's great enemy was probably even more difficult for him and Su Tianke to deal with. If they appeared here, the enemy would probably kill them. Swear that you won't do anything harmful to us. Otherwise, we'll all die together. Sui thought for a while and said to the Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat, "For beginners, you—" The Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat's face was very cold. Her amber eyes were like knives. "Okay, I swear that I won't do anything to you." The Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat gritted her teeth. Her voice seemed to burst out from the gaps between her silver teeth. Her eyes were full of hatred. "Okay, I'll believe you this time." Sui nodded and gestured to Su Tianke. The two of them immediately retracted their auras. Seeing this, the Nine Lives Cat Demon Cat's gaze swept past Su Yi and Su Tianke. She ignored them and looked up at the void, as if she could see through the blurred void. Su Yi and Su Tianke also looked around. Everything was blurred, as if it had returned to chaos. There was no moonlight, no wind, and a deathly silence. Boom! In the silent, moonlit night, a huge beast shadow appeared on top of the vast mountain range. The surrounding light was so bright that its true appearance could not be seen clearly. However, the aura that spread out was extremely frightening. It shook the forest and the mountains as if they were shaking. Suddenly, the birds and beasts in this part of the forest prostrated themselves. They were scared out of their wits and kept quiet out of fear. This gigantic beast shadow was very large, standing tall in the void. Within the light, a pair of blood-red eyes were embedded in the sky, covering the light of the real moon. Its aura was terrifying, and the cold light in its ferocious eyes shocked the heavens. Such a terrifying beast shadow appeared here. Fortunately, it was not in the outside world. Otherwise, who knew how many people would be scared out of their wits? The Cat Demon Cat's aura has appeared here. There are also two other strange auras. They don't seem simple. The huge beast shadow's voice was deep and slow like thunder in the night. It shook the mountains and made the barbaric beasts in this part of the forest tremble. "Find her. She's severely injured. She can't have escaped far." The faint voice pierced through the clouds and cracked rocks. The voice was cold. A ferocious bird spread its wings and floated over like a black cloud that covered the sky. Its body was covered in light as it flew across the sky. Its eyes were filled with a monstrous, evil aura. Be careful of the Cat Demon Cat's hiding technique. A huge beast flew across the sky. Half of its body was hidden in the night clouds. Its body was covered in black light and stretched across the sky. Its large eyes were like blood-red moons, filled with a monstrous, evil aura. The appearance of these three huge beasts and their gazes shook this part of the world. Thousands of beasts in the distance rustled and trembled in fear. When cutting weeds, we must remove the roots. That clan must be massacred. The one that escaped will cause endless trouble in the future. She must be killed. The first huge beast shadow spoke. Its blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent. Chapter 3:27. Everything began to calm down, and then it disappeared. Suti could not see what was going on outside, but he could feel the arrival of three terrifying auras. They scanned the area, and he could also hear the three voices. But for some reason, the three powerful auras did not discover this place. This made Su exclaim in admiration. This cat demon's concealment technique was really powerful. While Sui was pondering, the Nine Lives Cat demon suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and then her body fell to the ground. The blurry surroundings began to return to normal, and the hidden space was revealed. The moonlight shone down, and everything returned to normal. "Let's go." This was a great opportunity, and Sui did not want to stay. There were super experts nearby, and there was also the Nine Lives Cat demon. If he did not leave now, when would he? Although the Nine Lives Cat demon had sworn that she would not attack, Sui would not completely believe her. She has been seriously injured. I'm afraid she's doomed. Su Tianke went to the Nine Lives Cat demon's side and checked on her. His eyes glowed as he said, "Serves you right for hurting but the odds are against him." Sui was about to leave, but when he heard this, he could not help but stop and walk to the unconscious Nine Lives Cat demon's side. At this moment, the Nine Lives Cat demon's face was extremely pale. There was no trace of blood on her face, and the corner of her mouth was red with blood. It added a touch of sadness to her charming face, but she was still as beautiful as ever. This is a good chance. This is a 9 lives cat demon of the Demon Emperor realm. Her monster core is worth a lot. We'll split a half, and we'll be rich. Hurry up and do it. Su Tiang's eyes darted around, revealing a look of joy. He wanted Su Yi to hurry up and do it. Su Yi looked at the 9 lives cat demon and subconsciously stopped Su Tianke. What's wrong? This is the Yao core of a Yao emperor. Su Tianke muttered. He was almost drooling at the thought of the Demon Emperor realm's demon pearl. He looked at Su Yi's expression and rolled his eyes. Don't tell me you can't bear to part with the demon cat, because she's so pretty. Don't forget that she wanted to kill us just now. We almost died in her hands. Su Tianke said. Demon Emperor realm demon core. How could Su Yi not be tempted? The value of a demon emperor's demon elixir was astonishing. It was immeasurable and unimaginable to ordinary people. The 9 lives demon cat seemed to be seriously injured and had fainted in front of Meng Hao. If Meng Hao attacked, the demon core would be within his reach. Looking at the face in front of him, Su Yi frowned. After listening to the words of the 3 experts, it seemed that the 9 lives demon cat's entire clan had been massacred, just like the Tian Yao school. But after all, this was the 9 lives demon cat, a brute demon beast of the demon clan. She had tried to kill Meng Hao twice. If Meng Hao could get a Demon Emperor realm demon core, it would be enough to exchange for a high-grade elixir to treat his grandfather's injuries. You can do it. Su Yi gritted his teeth. He didn't have the heart to do it. First of all, he cultivated the Origin Supreme technique and had a sense of closeness to brute demons. Second of all, Su Yi thought of the 9 lives demon cat's clan being massacred and being hunted down by strong enemies. He couldn't bear to see that pale face, so he turned around and let Su Tianke do it. You should do it, Su Tianke muttered, his eyes flashing. Why must I do it? Su Yi stared at Su Tianke and felt that something was wrong. Well, Su Tianke hesitated. His eyes flickered, and he smiled embarrassedly in the end. I remember that I'm close to the 9 Souls Demon Cat clan. This cat demon is a descendant of the 9 Souls Demon Cat clan, so I'm a little embarrassed to do it. 9 Souls Demon Cat. Su Yi knew this clan. They were the top of the demon clan, but there seemed to be no traces of the 9 Souls Demon Cat clan in the modern world. Even if there were, they were very rare. If you're not going to do it, why are you asking me to do it? Su Yi raised his eyebrows. Looking at the pale face that didn't move at all, he didn't know what to do. E-Cool Craftsman unspecified currency net only 9 by $1 positive H edition. SGQ he. Q all O equals yes, piracy, forget it then. Let's go for the sake of the 9 Souls Demon Cat clan. Su Tianke was a little reluctant, but he finally made up his mind. He gritted his teeth, held back his saliva, and was about to leave. What about this cat demon? Su Yi asked. The 9 Souls cat demon was severely injured and unconscious. One could imagine what would happen if those powerful enemies came back. She's probably dead anyway. Her injuries are too serious. We can't stay here for long. Let's go, said Su Tianke. About 2 hours later, in a hidden cave, a graceful lady was lying in the cave. Her face was pale, and her eyes were closed. She was unconscious. Don't tell me you've taken a liking to this cat demon. She's pretty, and the people from the 9 Soul Lynx clan are all pretty in human form. However, she's a demon after all, a little cat demon. You're a human, Su Tianke mumbled. Su Yi looked at the cat demon in front of him. He rolled his eyes at Su Tianke and said, Can she be saved? Well, it'll be no problem if I recover my strength, but it's a little difficult now. Su Tianke said to Su Yi, Do you still have a spiritual liquid? It should be useful for her. Spiritual liquid. Su Yi knew that Su Tianke was talking about the spiritual liquid in the mysterious space. He hesitated for a while, then took out a jade bottle from his interspatial bag. He pinched the originally rosy and tender lips, which were now pale, and opened them slightly. The 9 Souls cat demon seemed to have reacted. Her lips opened slightly, and a soft hum came from her throat. The tender lips that were pinched by Su E were very attractive. Su E was touched. It was just a cat demon, but she was so alluring and charming. He almost couldn't help but kiss her. Su E cursed himself as he suppressed the urge in his heart. This is a cat demon. What am I thinking? He focused and gently poured the spiritual liquid in the jade bottle into her tender lips. Didn't you say you don't have any more? You said you didn't have any more when I asked you for it. Now that I see this cat demon, you have another one. You're really forgetting about friendship when it comes to lust. Su Tianke was stunned. He had asked Su E if he had any more of the spiritual liquid, but he remembered that Su E had said he didn't have any more. Now that he saw Su E take out the spiritual liquid, Su Tianke was furious and glared at Su E. This is the last bottle. I really don't have any more. Su E put away the empty bottle and said to Su Tianke indifferently, "You're forgetting friendship when it comes to lust. Just you wait." Su Tianke was very unhappy and glared at Su E. Su E couldn't be bothered with Su Tianke. The sky was still dark, and the three demon experts were probably still there. He had to be careful. Chapter 328. I can't believe a cat demon can charm people like this. I hope she doesn't repay evil with good. Su E mumbled in his heart. It was hard for him to imagine that a cat demon could be so alluring to all living beings. She was devastatingly beautiful. Su E then sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to rest. He didn't dare to meditate for fear of attracting attention. Su E didn't leave. He had to help her to the end. He couldn't just leave the unconscious cat demon in the wilderness. If he left the 9 lives demon cat here, not to mention a human, even a barbaric beast would not hesitate to kill it and devour its demon core. A monster core of a monster emperor was a treasure to humans, but was also a treasure to other savage beasts. Su Tianke angrily ran to the side, feeling aggrieved. Oh, time passed slowly. The roars of beasts could be heard from the surrounding mountains. Su E sensed the approaching savage beasts. He would occasionally release the energy of the Origin Supreme technique to scare the approaching savage beasts away. The next evening, the 9 lives cat demon finally woke up. Her eyelashes trembled slightly before she opened her eyes. The 9 lives cat demon struggled to stand up, but her body was very weak. She could only sit up. Her face was still pale, but she looked much better than before she fainted. She quickly scanned her surroundings. Are you awake? Su E immediately stood up and looked at the 9 lives cat demon cautiously. He was afraid that she would return good for evil and suddenly attack him. Su Tianke also went to Su Yi's side, looking at him warily. You saved me? The 9 lives demon cat scanned the surroundings and finally looked at Su E and Su Tianke. There was a surge of power in his body. It was not an ordinary thing. There was only one person and one chicken here. There was no one else. Of course it's us. Otherwise, who would be so kind as to give you a treasure? Su Tianke pouted and said to the 9 lives cat demon. The 9 lives cat demon was surprised. She could feel that the treasure she had consumed was extraordinary. Not only did this man and chicken not kill her when she was down, they even took out a treasure to heal her. This was beyond her imagination. In her heart, humans are not like this. How could they not be greedy for the demon soul realm's demon core in her body? How long have I been unconscious? The 9 lives demon cat asked Su E and Su Tianke as she struggled to get up. Her strength was gradually recovering. 1 day and 1 night. Su E replied. Then Su Tianke said, let's go. Now that the 9 lives demon cat had awakened, Su E felt that it would be better to leave to avoid any trouble. An expert of this level was not someone he could get involved with. Wait, this is not a place to stay for long. There are many experts of the demon clan chasing after me. With your strength, I'm afraid you won't be able to get out of here, especially a human like you. The 9 lives cat demon looked at Su E and said, follow me, and you will have a better chance. I will take you out of Wild Devil Forest. Those experts of the demon clan are chasing after you. Even if we encounter them, there is no need to make things difficult for us. Su E said softly. He was not at ease following the 9 lives demon cat demon. Previous to ignorant human. The Nine Lives demon cat demon ignored Sue. She seemed to have recovered some of her strength and left the cave. What she said seems to make sense. Su Tianke said to Su E as he looked at the back of the Nine Lives demon cat demon leaving the cave. How could Su E not understand that it was indeed dangerous for a human to stay in Wild Devil Forest? Recently, he had encountered a beast tide and several experts of the demon clan. If he was discovered by the experts of the demon clan, given his identity as a human, he would be doomed. Let's go. Gritting his teeth, Su E made the decision to follow the Nine Lives demon cat demon. Su E felt that the Nine Lives demon cat demon was not the kind of person who would bite the hand that fed her. Although the Nine Lives demon cat demon was severely injured, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Following the Nine Lives demon cat demon would be safer. Su E and Su Tianke left the cave and followed behind the Nine Lives demon cat demon. However, they did not follow too closely. Su E and Su Tianke followed from a distance, maintaining a distance of a few hundred feet. The Nine Lives demon cat demon sensed that Su E and Su Tianke were following behind her. Her face was calm, and she did not look back. Her beautiful figure passed through the dense forest without flying. The sky was gradually covered by the curtain of night, and the stars and moon were dim. Savage beasts appeared, but the Nine Lives demon cat demon avoided them from afar. Su E and Su Tianke followed behind, which saved them a lot of trouble. The Nine Lives demon cat demon stopped in a dense forest late at night. The surrounding terrain was wide and flat, with towering trees. It was dark and deep. A towering tree with thick branches would be difficult for two people to wrap their arms around. The Nine Lives demon cat demon jumped onto the tree and sat down cross-legged. She closed her eyes and began to meditate. Su E and Su Tianke stopped at a distance. Let's rest for a while, Su E said. Since the Nine Lives demon cat was meditating, this place should be relatively safe. He found a big rock nearby and sat down cross-legged. He formed a hand seal and also began to meditate. Su Tianke did not say anything and also began to meditate. After a while, the three figures were enveloped in a layer of light, and three auras filled the air. In the depths of the dense forest, a pair of dark blue eyes stared at Su E from the bushes. It was silent, and seemed to have maintained this posture for a long time. It seemed to have sensed Su Yi's aura, which was both fearful and tempting. The gaze did not move for a long time, as if it was hesitating. However, it was silent, and there was no fluctuation of aura. It was hidden naturally. Before dawn, there was a moment of darkness quietly descending. Chi-la. At this moment, the gaze finally could not take it anymore. A bloody light gushed out, and its body suddenly shot out like lightning towards Su E, who was sitting cross-legged. Its bloody mouth was wide open, and the smell of blood filled the air. It flickered with a frightening light. This was a python that was dozens of feet long, but its entire body was dark green. Its tiny snake scales were like blades, and its fangs were sharp. The sudden change woke Su E up, and he opened his eyes instantly. Demon True Stage. Su E was shocked. He felt that the Demon True Stage barbaric beast expert was too fast. It was behind him in an instant, and its bloody mouth was already above his head. Chi-la. Suddenly, at this moment, a graceful figure appeared at a speed faster than the former, and from her slender, jade-like fingers, a stream of cold energy shot directly towards the python's vital point. Swoosh! At this moment, the python's bloody eyes were filled with shock, and it turned pale with fright. However, it was too late. Its neck was pierced, and its body fell, landing directly behind Su E. Chapter 329. That was close. Su E still had a lingering fear. This was a cyan blood python that was good at hiding and had reached the Demon True realm. He had almost been in big trouble when he didn't notice it approaching. Thank you. Su E raised his head. Who else could it be but the Nine Lives demon cat? The Nine Lives demon cat's complexion had recovered a little. Although her face was still pale, she was much better. However, He was secretly on his guard. Judging from the fact that the Nine Lives demon cat had killed a demon true realm brute beast just now, she must have recovered quite a bit. If she were to attack him and Su Tianke now, it would be bad news. The Nine Lives demon cat didn't care about Su-yi at all. She landed on the ground and continued on her journey before dawn. Why are you so cold? Su-yi raised his eyebrows. He didn't hold it against the Nine Lives demon cat since she had just saved him. Take the snake meat with you. It's good stuff. I haven't eaten meat in a long time. Su Tiang's small body was almost drooling when he reached the python's corpse. Su-yi's eyes moved. The corpse of a demon true realm brute beast was indeed a treasure. Just the snake skin alone was worth a lot. The energy contained in the snake meat was a spiritual medicine that could strengthen the body. The snake blood was also worth a lot. Su-yi pulled out the spirit weapon on his back and began to dissect the snake's body. The Nine Lives demon cat frowned when she felt Su-yi and Su Tianke cleaning up the snake's body. However, she couldn't help but slow down her pace. Su-yi was very fast. He cut the snake's body into several pieces and put them into his space bag. Then, he hurriedly chased after the Nine Lives demon cat. The two humans and the chicken continued on their journey with a certain distance between them. They shuttled through the mountain forest. Their speed couldn't be compared to flying. Although the Nine Lives demon cat's cultivation had recovered a little, she seemed to be afraid of something and hid herself along the way. However, the two humans and the chicken weren't slow either. The Nine Lives demon cat's feet fluctuated with energy. Her graceful figure was like a white ghost in the mountain forest. Su-yi's feet rippled with yuan qi as he executed the rising Yao 100 transformation steps. His figure was fleeting as he kept a distance from the nine-tailed demon cat. Su Tianke had already jumped onto Su-yi's shoulder, saving him a lot of energy. Su-yi could feel that the Nine Lives demon cat's speed was getting faster and faster. Fortunately, he had improved a lot recently. With the yuan qi in his body surging, he could barely keep up with the Nine Lives demon cat. Our update any fastest J Shanku /craftsman net, however, if the nine-tailed cat demon had been any faster, Su-yi would have been embarrassed. At that moment, Su-yi did not know that the Nine Lives cat demon was in a state of shock. A human at the Origin Spirit Realm, who seemed to only be at the third level of the Origin Spirit Realm, yet his speed was unbelievably fast. On the boring journey, the Nine Lives demon cat had some thoughts. She wanted to test how fast the human behind her was. The Nine Lives demon cat gradually increased her speed, but she became more and more surprised. That speed was not something that an ordinary third-level Origin Spirit Realm practitioner could possess. In the end, the Nine Lives demon cat maintained a certain speed, wanting to see how far the human could keep up. When Su-yi followed closely behind her, the Nine-Tails demon cat was even more shocked. It was dusk again, and the sky gradually turned dark. In a hidden, deep valley, the Nine Lives demon cat stopped, intending to rest. For some reason, the Nine Lives demon cat felt inexplicably depressed. She turned back to look at Su-yi, who had already climbed down, but still ignored him. She entered a cave in the rock wall, preparing to regulate her breathing. However, 2 hours later, the Nine Lives demon cat, who was enveloped in light, was startled awake. She opened her eyes, which were filled with light, and smelled the rich aroma of meat. The aroma of the meat was simply too fragrant, making one salivate. Following the smell, the Nine Lives demon cat walked out of the cave, only to see a large piece of barbecued meat wrapped in leaves at the entrance of the cave. The meat was yellow in color, and oil was sizzling. The aroma assailed her nostrils. In a valley ahead, she saw that the human and the bald chicken were surrounding a bonfire, chowing down on the meat. The Nine Lives demon cat frowned. She knew that this was the meat of the python she had killed in the morning. The Nine Lives demon cat wanted to enter the cave, but when she smelled the aroma, she looked at the barbecued meat and hesitated. "This meat can help me recover," the Nine Lives demon cat said to herself in her heart. She took the barbecued meat and walked into the cave. Inside the cave, the Nine Lives demon cat looked like a thief. Her naturally charming, slightly childish face was actually suffused with a faint blush. "Can this be eaten?" The 9 Lives demon cat softly muttered. She could not help but sniff the delicious barbecued meat in her hands. In the end, she could not help but take a small bite. When the barbecued meat entered her mouth, the 9 Lives demon cat's eyes changed. The taste was fresh and fragrant, not greasy nor smelly. The meat was tender and delicious, and the aftertaste was endless. In the valley, Su, E, and Su Tianke were eating heartily. That python was huge, so it was enough to eat. "It's delicious. I haven't eaten meat in a long time. Meat is still the best." Su Tianke wolfed down the meat with a satisfied face. His small body was like a bottomless pit. Who knew how much snake meat had already been stuffed into it? Although Su Yi did not say it, he had long missed the taste of the meat. Moreover, the meat of a demon true realm brute demon beast could provide many benefits. After eating heartily, Su Yi burped and sat down cross-legged to regulate his breathing. Su Tianke was also satisfied. Not far away, his body was emitting a red light and a scorching aura. That night, no other brute demon beast came to disturb them. The next morning, when the sky was slightly bright, the 2 men and the chicken continued on their journey. The 9 Lives demon cat seemed to have recovered a lot. Her speed was faster, and Su Yi could only follow behind with all his might. Su Tianke stood on Su Yi's shoulder and muttered in a low voice. "This little demon cat seems to have recovered a little. Your spiritual liquid must have helped a lot." Su Yi looked at the graceful figure in front of him. She looked like a young girl, but she was a real demon emperor expert. It was obvious that the 9 Tails demon cat was a woman of her word. At least until now, she had not planned to attack him and Su Tianke. She had even saved him once. Another day passed. With the 9 Lives demon cat in front, the journey was safe and sound. However, Su Yi was already panting. The 9 Lives demon cat was getting faster and faster. At night, the bamboo forest was dense. This bamboo forest was very strange. It was bigger than the towering trees, and the tall bamboos pierced the clouds. The 9 Lives demon cat seemed to want to rest for the night and continue to heal. Su Yi threw Su Tianke down. Panting, he walked closer and asked the 9 Lives demon cat, "How long will it take us to get out of this savage demon forest?" "At your speed, 7 or 8 days. Chapter 330. 7 to 8 days is fine. Su Yi pondered in his heart. As long as he left the barbaric demon forest, he would be much safer. Although he would still be in the barbaric demon forest after leaving the barbaric demon forest, he would still have many enemies and a colossus like the Black Fiend sect. However, it would still be much easier than in the barbaric demon forest. However, Su Yi did not dare to be careless in the barbaric demon forest. Not to mention the colossus that was the Black Fiend sect, the blazing sky dragon was also a demonic emperor. If it successfully passed the form transformation tribulation, it would truly become a demonic emperor. Thinking about the blazing sky dragon, Su Yi felt somewhat sullen. Back then, he had risked his life to steal the blazing sky dragon's egg. He had narrowly escaped death and almost lost his life. Who would have thought that in the end, he would fall into the hands of the witch? This was the second time he had fallen into the hands of the witch. "Don't let me meet you next time," Su Yi muttered in his heart. Immediately after, Su Yi no longer thought about it. It was better to leave the barbaric demon forest first. Once he reached the chaos region, that would be his paradise. He sat down cross-legged, formed a hand seal, closed his eyes, and adjusted his breathing. In the depths of the bamboo forest, the cold moonlight poured down from the sky and fell into the depths of the bamboo forest. The mottled light flickered, causing the entire bamboo forest to be filled with specks of light. It was hazy and quiet. Stars dotted the sky. Occasionally, the roars of beasts could be heard from the distant mountain range. The rustling sounds frightened some barbaric demon beasts. However, when they felt the aura of the bamboo forest from afar, they did not dare to come closer and were frightened away. In the pitch-black night sky, under the starry sky, 2 black figures suddenly appeared together in the void. The two figures were close to each other as they appeared in the sky. They did not bring about any fluctuations. A look at the 6th edition EF chapter. Section 8 Y up J, cool craftsman percent C net L. The two figures had a faint cold light in their eyes. The light fluctuations were like stars embedded in the sky. TSK, you really want to leave the barbaric demon forest? This kind of voice spread in the night sky, but no one heard it. The two silhouettes flashed and disappeared into the night sky. It was as if they had never appeared in the first place. Swoosh! In just a few breaths' time, the two figures appeared outside the bamboo forest. In the bamboo forest, the 9 lives demon cat, who was recuperating from her injuries, suddenly withdrew her hand seal. Her closed eyes opened at the same time, and her expression changed greatly. The beautiful figure dashed out, accompanied by the dancing of the 9 lives demon cat's slender fingers. Energy filled the bamboo forest and enveloped Su E and Su Tianke within it. The 9 lives demon cat's voice was urgent. As her voice fell, the surrounding void began to distort and become hazy. It became illusory, as if it had fallen into chaos. Su E and Su Tianke were startled awake. Their gazes turned solemn as they knew this was the 9 lives demon cat's concealment technique. Suki didn't need to guess to know that a top enemy was here to make the 9 lives cat so nervous. Two figures suddenly appeared and stood outside the bamboo forest. They looked at the deep and hazy bamboo forest and sneered. They said softly, "It's too late. You can fool them, but you can't fool me. Come out. Why are you hiding?" As soon as he finished speaking, the two figures rushed into the bamboo forest. The one on the left waved his hand, and a green light shot out from his sleeve. It was like a green lightning bolt shuttling through the bamboo forest, illuminating the bamboo forest with a dazzling light. Swish! In the depths of the bamboo forest, energy fluctuations shook the void. Bang, bang, bang. In the next moment, a large area of the void exploded. The energy made muffled sounds. A large area of bamboo was broken and exploded. The aura rushed to the sky. Awoo! In the distant mountains, beast roars were like thunder. They were shocked by this sudden change. Thump! Thump! The hazy void trembled. The beautiful figure of the 9 lives cat staggered a few steps back. Her face was pale, and her eyes were extremely serious. It's the ice and fire double-headed demonic snake. It's a LV6 demon emperor. Even if I was in my prime, I might not be able to fight it. You saved me once. I wanted to send you out of the barbaric demon forest, but I'm afraid I won't have the chance now. Go as far as you can. I don't owe you anything in the future. The 9 lives cat said to Su E and Su Tianke. Bang, bang, bang. As the 9 lives cat finished speaking, the surroundings exploded again. A blazing aura filled the air and a red light shot into the sky. The distorted space began to crack. Thump, thump. The beautiful figure of the 9 lives cat staggered backward again. Her charming face was extremely serious. Bang, bang. The distorted void was completely broken and revealed. At this moment, Su E also saw that above the void outside, there were two figures floating in the void. Their bodies were glowing red and green, and their auras were intertwined with ice and fire. Su E was quite shocked. Upon closer inspection, he found that the two figures were actually the same person. However, they had 2 heads, 2 arms, and 2 waists. From the waist up, they were 2 completely different people. However, they were connected from the waist down and shared 2 legs. The aura of the 2-headed man shocked Su E. On one side, it was the aura of fire property. On the other side, it was the aura of water property. The air was cold and icy. The aura of water and fire was powerful. This aura made Su E feel uncomfortable and affected for no reason. However, at this moment, under the oppressive aura of ice and fire, the Origin Supreme technique in Su Yi's body was faintly rising, as if it was about to operate automatically. LV6 Demon Emperor Realm, Ice and Fire Double-Headed Demonic Snake. Su Yi's heart was heavy. Under this terrible oppressive aura, The newcomer should be the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake that the Nine Lives cat had just mentioned. It was an expert of the 6th level of the Demon Emperor realm. The ice and fire two-headed demonic snake floated in the void. Its 4 eyes were dim and filled with a scarlet color. It stared at the Nine Lives cat and noticed Su, E, and Su Tianke. It was a little surprised, but it did not care. If you cut the weeds without removing the roots, they will grow again when the spring breeze blows. You can't escape. None of you can escape. The ice and fire two-headed demonic snake's 2 heads spoke in unison. Its scarlet eyes stared at the Nine Lives cat. It revealed a dirty smile and said, "The Nine Lives cat clan are all natural beauties. If you want to follow me, I will plead for mercy and protect the remaining bloodline of the Nine Lives cat clan. What do you think? One day, I will repay the hatred of my clan tenfold." The Nine Lives cat stared at the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake. Her amber eyes were filled with blood, cold and ruthless. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. It's not bad to force yourself on me. I like to be a little wild. Who knows? Maybe after you have a taste of me, you won't stop begging me to take you. Kiki. Chapter 331. Shameless Snake. The Nine Lives demon cat's face darkened. Her aura suddenly surged from her body. Her silver hair danced in the wind, and a light appeared. In an instant, a palm print appeared in her slender hand, which seemed to distort the void and slap toward the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake. Run! At the same time, the Nine Lives demon cat's voice rang in Su, E, and Su Tiang's ears. Run! Su, E, and Su Tianke did not hesitate. They were not even qualified to be affected by a fight between experts of the Demon Emperor realm. Whoosh, whoosh! Vital chi gushed out from under his feet. Su Yi's figure suddenly swept out. He did not look back, and he ran as fast as he could. Su Tiang's speed was not slower than Su Yi's. His short wings flapped, and his small body was like a rooster that was about to take flight. He raised his head and rushed forward like a flash of red lightning. Bang, bang, bang. The low, muffled sounds of energy continued to spread behind them, and the light illuminated the void. From a muffled sounds of energy, they could tell that the fight was very fierce. Su E and Su Tianke ran away, not daring to stay for a moment. A Demon Emperor realm expert was not something they could interfere with. In the dark night, Su E began to feel uneasy. He was thinking about the Nine Lives demon cat. Given the Nine Lives demon cat's current condition, she had recovered slightly in the past 2 days. However, Su E estimated that the Nine Lives demon cat had not recovered much at all. She was definitely not a match for the ice-fire, two-headed demonic snake. If we run away, what about the Nine Lives demon cat? She's probably dead. After half an hour, Su E did not know how far they had run. The muffled sounds of energy colliding in the distance had long disappeared. B5 cool, Craftsman Nedim / genuine version, first 5 times. Even if we stay, we are no match for that snake. We can't do anything to help. Moreover, this has nothing to do with us. Su Tianke stopped in his tracks, shaking his wings as he panted heavily. Actually, that cat demon isn't too bad. She saved us once and let us escape this time. Su, he whispered. He felt uneasy and apologetic. He knew that the Nine Lives demon cat wasn't a match for the ice-fire two-headed demon snake, and yet he had still fled. This, Su Tianke paused for a moment before saying, "You save her once, so we're even now. In any case, we've been traveling together for a few days. No matter what, she's a woman, I'm a man, and you're a man. Isn't this a little inappropriate?" Su, he muttered, feeling a little uneasy. You don't really have any feelings for that cat demon, do you? Don't forget, she's not a woman. She's a Demon Emperor realm cat demon. If she were at her peak, even 100 of you wouldn't be enough to defeat her. Su Tianke rolled his eyes at Su E and said, "Even if we go back now, we'll just be throwing our lives away." Su E clenched his fists. Even if he went back now, what could he do? He would still be throwing his life away. What could he do against an LV6 Demon Emperor Realm powerhouse? Wait for me here. I have a favor to ask of you. If anything happens to me, You have to find a high-level healing elixir and go to a place called Man City. Send it to the Su family and give it to an old man called Su Yuntian. You don't have to say anything else. Suddenly, He looked at Su Tianke and said seriously. Su Tianke was stunned. He rolled his eyes at Su Yi and asked, "What do you want to do? Do you want to go back? Don't go back and get yourself killed. You're no match for that two-headed demon snake. Even 100 of you won't be enough. I'm just going back to take a look. I won't fight recklessly." Su Yi smiled faintly and said to Su Tianke, "You can't run away just because a woman tells you to. You'll feel uneasy for the rest of your life." As soon as he finished speaking, the vital chi behind Su Yi surged and condensed into wings. He turned into a flash of red light and flew away. "That idiot," Su Tianke cursed. He looked at Su Yi's back and cursed. In the end, he gritted his teeth and muttered, "I'm also an idiot. Why would I go to my death with you?" As soon as he finished speaking, Su Tianke flapped his short wings and chased after Su Yi. Bang, bang. The muffled sound was like thunder. The bamboo forest was already in a mess. A gigantic white cat, over 100 feet long, floated in the air. Its eyes were like two flashing ambers, emitting a faint light. Its body was slightly bent, as if it was about to pounce. Its white fur was shining brightly, but at this moment, it was stained with a lot of blood. Under the night sky, such a cat's amber eyes were like torches. Under its 4 paws, the space trembled slightly. "You're already an arrow at the end of its flight. What else do you have to fight me? If it weren't for the fact that I don't want to destroy you, you would have been killed a long time ago. Don't you appreciate my good intentions?" The two-headed ice fire demonic snake looked at the gigantic white cat and sneered confidently. "Let's continue." The giant white cat opened its mouth and its amber eyes flashed like lightning. "Since you refuse a toast, only to be forced to drink a forfeit, I'll fulfill your wish." The two-headed ice fire demonic snake sneered. Its feet stepped on the void. As soon as it finished speaking, its body rushed out like a ghost. Its left head opened its mouth and shot out a ray of cold light. The 9 Lives cat's body moved in an inexplicable trajectory. It was moving and tempting, but it also carried a kind of majesty. It seemed to be moving slowly, but its speed was faster than the former. It only left behind afterimages, making people think that it was still in the same place. The 9 Lives cat's body avoided the cold light. Its body was slightly bent, and then it rushed out. Its sharp claws were stretched out, and dense cold energy burst out like lightning. The sharp claws broke through the air and slashed toward the two-headed ice fire demonic snake. "You're an arrow at the end of its flight. Give up." The two-headed ice fire demonic snake sneered. It seemed to have been prepared. Its right body stretched out, and a fist exploded. Scarlet flames rushed into the sky and collided with the 9 Lives cat's claws. Bang! The energy was like sparks flying in all directions. It was extremely shocking. The fist and the claw collided, and the air was filled with a muffled sound. The energy wind swept out, causing the surroundings to explode inch by inch. The light illuminated the night sky. Uffed, the 9 Lives cat's body was sent flying in a straight line, and dark red blood spurted from its mouth. "It's over. Follow me from now on, and I guarantee that I'll make you want to die. I'll make you happy every night." The two-headed ice fire demonic snake sneered. Its legs suddenly glowed, and it expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, it strangely turned into a huge red and green tail. Like lightning, it wrapped around the 9 Lives cat's body, which had been sent flying. "Little snake, eat my blade." Suddenly, a figure rushed out and appeared in the air. Its long hair was scattered, and its eyes were scarlet. There were yuan qi wings on its back, and a majestic and destructive aura filled the air. The newcomer waved a large blade in his hand. Accompanied by a blazing storm, energy swept out in all directions. A violent and sharp might surged out, causing the surrounding air to begin to distort. Wild Dragon Overlord Slash. The blade ruthlessly slashed out, and a scarlet light erupted like a volcano. In an instant, a saber light shot out like a long red thunderbolt, accompanied by a vast and incomparably fierce and domineering aura. Roar! The shadow of a scarlet dragon was faintly discernible within the blade light, and the void shook. Chapter 332. Chila. But soon the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake's huge tail lashed out and collided with the saber light without hesitation. Bang! Wherever he looked, Su Yi's saber light was directly destroyed. Even the spirit's saber in his hand shattered inch by inch. In the next moment, the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake's huge tail whipped Su Yi like a bolt of lightning. The light was dazzling, and a muffled sound was heard. Su Yi wanted to dodge, but the surrounding void seemed to have solidified. He could not move at all. This was the terrifying part of a demon emperor. Their powerful aura had already solidified the void. Puffed, Su Yi spat out a mouthful of blood. His body felt as if it had been hit by 100,000 mountains. His bones felt like they were about to fall apart, especially the half of his body that had been whipped by the huge tail. His bones felt like they were about to shatter. Su Yi's body shot down from the sky like a cannonball under the impact of the huge force. He landed heavily on the ground. Ka, ka, ka. The ground cracked and the earth shook. The Nine Lives Cat Demon's beautiful figure also shot down, half a step ahead of Su Yi. The Nine Lives Cat Demon struggled to get up. Her white fur was stained with blood, and her gaze was extremely serious. Su Yi spat out blood and struggled a few times before he managed to get up. His body felt like it was about to fall apart. He felt like his internal organs were about to be scattered. If it wasn't for Su Yi's body of diamond, his body would have been blown apart. Seeing that Su Yi could still get up, the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake frowned. In his imagination, this human should have died 10 times over. So it's you, human. It seems a little strange that you dare to come back. But you're just an ant. Although slightly surprised, the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake did not pay much attention. In his heart, an essence spirit realm human was but an ant. An ant that was not simple, and an ordinary ant was just an ant to him. There was no difference between them. Chila. A sharp piercing sound rang out as the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake attacked once again. Brilliant rays of light burst out as its huge tail, glowing with a dazzling scarlet-green light, ruthlessly descended towards Su Yi. Su Yi's body swayed. He had no strength to resist at all. His head was still dizzy. The Nine Lives Demon Cat's condition didn't seem to be any better. She was barely able to get up. Your Grandpa Sparrow is here. Suddenly, the void became scorching hot. Scorching waves of fire spread out and swept in all directions, directly blocking in front of Su Yi. The fiery light filled the air. Its aura was scorching hot, and it carried with it an extremely powerful aura. A chicken, the ice and fire two-headed demon snake, was somewhat stunned. As the wave of fire spread out, it could clearly see a red, featherless chicken flapping its wings as it flew over. Its pair of short legs were like eagle claws, emitting a scarlet light. Bang! With just a touch, the flame shattered, and a muffled thunder-like sound rang out. However, in the midst of the surging flames, the fire chicken shot down like a meteor and landed heavily in front of Su Yi. Your Grandpa Sparrow is in so much pain. With a miserable wail, the fire chicken's body crashed into the ground like a meteor, creating a long crack in the ground. Boom! Dust flew, and the ground trembled. In the end, it stopped right in front of Su Yi. Who else could it be but Su Tianke? Blood spilled from Su Tiang's mouth, but he quickly got up and approached Su Yi. With blood dripping from his mouth, his expression was grave as he said to Su Yi, I told you that we're no match for him. We're in big trouble now. Su Tianke, I don't care if you're a chicken or a peacock. From now on, you're Su Yi's blood brother. Blood trickled down from Su Yi's mouth. Looking at the bleeding Su Tianke, the corners of Su Yi's mouth lifted into a smile. Su Tianke didn't leave. Instead, he ran over, which warmed Su Yi's heart. This guy was indeed loyal. I must be out of my mind to follow you to deal with a demon emperor. Su Tianke rolled his eyes at Su. Then, he looked at the Nine Lives demon cat with a grave expression and said, "Little demon cat, can you find a way to hold on for a while? Just a while. I need some time." The Nine Lives demon cat was about to flip out after being called a little demon cat by Su Tianke. However, under the current circumstances, she looked at Su Tian's eyes silently for a moment. Then, she clenched her teeth and nodded. Hula, without any delay, Su Tian's body was surrounded by a red light. His expression was unusually grave. The ice and fire two-headed demonic snake looked at Su Tianke in surprise again. It was very strange. Go to hell. After being blocked one after another, the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake was displeased. Its expression darkened and its aura surged. A vast aura surged, and its power increased greatly. Its giant tail swept out and viciously lashed at Su Yi and Su Tianke. It wanted to get rid of these insignificant ants first. Boom! The Nine Lives demon cat moved. Her body glowed with a divine and majestic aura. She stood there. Her amber eyes were intimidating, as if she could look down on everything. Hula! The Nine Lives demon cat dashed out again. Her aura surged again, like a dried-up flame being injected with oil. The flames rose, and her aura skyrocketed. You're burning your blood essence. You're courting death. Sensing the Nine Lives demon cat's aura, the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake was stunned. It didn't dare to be careless again, and its expression became even more gloomy. The Nine Lives demon cat didn't say anything. Her huge body pounced on the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake. Her sharp claws were like hooks, and her body glowed brightly, blocking the snake's tail. Her aura was mighty, agile, and majestic. The void clanged, and the muffled sound was like wind and thunder, vast and mighty in the night sky. Hiss, hiss. At this moment, the Nine Lives demon cat's aura skyrocketed. She was burning, and her aura soared into the sky. She had recovered the aura of a true demon emperor. Hiss, hiss. The ice and fire two-headed demonic snake didn't dare to be careless. It reverted to its original form and no longer had only one tail. Its huge body had two heads. One was red like fire, and the other was green with a white, icy aura. Its four scarlet eyes were surging with a sinister aura. It was very ferocious and frightening. Su Yi grabbed a handful of pills from his interspatial bag and stuffed them into his mouth. He did not care what kind of pills they were as long as they could heal his injuries and restore his vitality. Su Yi's eyes trembled as he watched the battle between the two behemoths in the void. It was as if the void was about to be torn apart. This was a battle between demon emperors. He couldn't interfere. If the ice and fire two-headed demonic snake hadn't used its full strength, he wouldn't have been able to help, no matter how strong his physical body was. Everything is useless. How much blood essence can you burn? You're an arrow at the end of its flight. Chapter 333. The Nine Lives demon cat's aura surged, but it was unable to continue. It was beginning to be suppressed. Kill! In the sky, the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake exploded. Scorching heat and freezing ice began to intersect like lightning. It was swift and vicious. The Nine Lives demon cat was agile and majestic. Its speed was also as fast as lightning, but it was being suppressed. The Nine Lives demon cat spat out blood again. It was hit again, and its body slammed down below, shattering the mountain wall. But soon, the Nine Lives demon cat rushed out. Its amber eyes were filled with anger. A bright light condensed on the surface of its body, and the void around it rippled. It condensed into an energy vortex, whistling in the sky like a storm. The Nine Lives demon cat's body was wrapped in the energy vortex, and it swept toward the ice-fire two-headed demonic snake. Wherever it passed, the energy vortex, containing a terrifying wind, left a long vacuum mark in the night sky. The ice-fire two-headed demonic snake's eyes were gloomy as it watched the energy vortex exploding toward it. It spat out a beam of scarlet fire and freezing ice energy at the same time. It was like two beams of light fiercely colliding with the vortex. Walala, the void rumbled, and the light was like a sun in the night sky. The huge collision of energy resounded in the night sky like a thunderclap. Puffed, the 9 lives demon cat spat out blood, and its body was sent flying again. But at this time, the ice fire two-headed demonic snake's huge body was also sent flying, as if it was greatly affected. Boom! At this time, a blazing flame had taken shape like a small sea of fire sweeping out. In the sea of fire that erupted, a huge shadow emerged from the sea of fire. It was faintly discernible, and an indescribably terrifying pressure was suddenly released. Screech! A piercing screech resounded. A huge flame bird shadow quickly took shape, like a phoenix or a rock. Its huge wings flapped, and the whole sky shook. Su Tianke. This power shocked Su Yi. He looked over and saw that it was Su Tianke. He had seen Su Tianke in the spirit ancient village. This was Su Tiang's technique. Crackle. Resplendent flames swept down towards Su Yi and the 9 lives demon cat, completely enveloping them. Go! This sound echoed in the ears of Su Yi and the 9 lives demon cat. The space around them was torn apart, revealing a black vacuum. The surrounding light distorted, and a deep black light that spread from it seemed to be able to devour one's soul. The ice fire, two-headed demonic snake was stunned. At this moment, the indescribable pressure coming from the sea of flames made its hair stand on end and its heart palpitate. Where do you think you're going? But soon he suppressed this fear, and the ice fire two-headed demon snake rushed out. Plus MQD plus if the 9 lives demon cat, the strange human, and the strange bald chicken were to escape today, there would be endless trouble in the future. The ice and fire two-headed demonic snake went all out. Its aura surged, causing the surrounding space to tremble a little. Two powerful energy streams shot out from its two mouths, colliding with the sea of flames. The ice fire two-headed demonic snake wanted to stop Su Yi, Su Tianke, and the 9 lives demon cat from escaping. Bang! With a deep explosion, the sea of flames was blown apart, but the energy ripples forced the ice fire two-headed demonic snake to retreat. When the ice fire two-headed demonic snake stabilized its body, its 4 eyes looked ahead nervously. But the space in front of it had already recovered, and there were no traces of the 9 lives demon cat, the human, or the bald chicken. Bastards, you can't escape. The ice fire, two-headed demonic snake's huge body turned into a human. Its eyes were filled with extreme anger, and its face was incomparably gloomy. With a wave of its sleeves, it suddenly disappeared. Oh! In the distance, in the vast mountain range, countless beasts roared continuously, roaring and hissing without stopping for a long time. Kill. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill all these humans. In the night, flames soared into the sky, dazzling the light. Bang, bang, screams, beast roars, and muffled sounds of energy intertwined, shaking the night sky. This was a small town that existed in the mountain range. But at this moment, it was in a mess, and blood was flowing everywhere. A large number of barbaric beasts surged out like a beast tide, accompanied by many ice-fire barbaric wolves. They raised their heads, roared, and spat out icy light pillars. In the sky, there was an ice-fire barbaric wolf. Its body was huge, and it stood in the air. It was dozens of feet long, and its whole body was covered in ice like snow-white crystals. Under the light, it sparkled, and an icy aura filled the sky. There were also several huge barbaric beasts that stood in the air. Their fierce eyes were terrifying, and they commanded the beast tide to sweep through this small town. In the sky, a red light soared into the sky, and a middle-aged man with long red hair draped over his shoulders appeared. He was dressed in yellow clothes, and there was a red cloak on his back. Mysterious patterns like armor scales covered his body, and his aura was powerful and terrifying. Blazing Dragon Emperor, you washed the land of our mercenary alliance with blood. The experts of our Wild Dragon Mercenary Alliance will not let you go. There were two old men floating in the sky. They were surrounded by a few demon, illusionary realm barbaric beasts, and they were covered in wounds. They were panting, and their faces were pale. They looked at the red-haired, middle-aged man in the sky, and their eyes were filled with horror. "I'm going to kill the Wild Dragon Mercenary Alliance." The red-haired, middle-aged man glanced at them and shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure appeared in front of the two old men like a ghost. Swish! The claw reached out, tearing the sky apart, and red fire filled the sky. Crack, crack! Of the two old men at the Origin Void Realm, one had his chest pierced through by the claw, and the other's head was crushed. "Kill, leave no one alive," the red-haired, middle-aged man shouted, and his red eyes were filled with killing intent. Suddenly, the red-haired, middle-aged man raised his eyes and looked at the sky as if he felt something. In the dark night, a red light appeared in the depths of the night sky. The light flickered, and the red fire descended. It became more and more dazzling, as if something was falling. Swish! After an unknown period of time, Su-Yi felt his body falling. Just like the last time, he could clearly see himself falling from the sky. Below him, there were flames and screams, and the roars of beasts were endless. "Where is this?" Bang! Su-Yi was not ready, and he fell heavily to the ground. The ground trembled, and the surroundings were a mess. There were corpses of barbaric beasts and humans everywhere. It was a horrible sight. Bang! Su-Tianke also fell to the ground, not far from Su-Yi. The Nine Lives demon cat situation was much better, and her body was soon suspended in the air. Such a scene of someone descending from the sky and suddenly appearing caused everyone present to be momentarily stunned. Many gazes looked towards the void with astonishment and bewilderment. Chapter 334 T/N 4-inch 9 Lives Demonic Cat. Seeing the 9 Lives Demonic Cat, the red-haired middle-aged man's eyes trembled. Why would a demon emperor realm 9 Lives Demonic Cat appear in the barbarian demon forest? Su-Yi crawled to his feet, the blood and chi in his body surging. He looked around at the mess around him and the particularly eye-catching white frost wolf in the air. His ears were filled with endless beast roars, and he had a bad feeling in his heart. Roar! A ferocious beast that was 5 feet tall and several feet long was emitting a golden light. It had sharp fangs and a ferocious aura. It was at the 5th level of the demon spirit realm and had a horn on its head. It charged towards Su-Yi. "Beast!" Su-Yi roared as he stomped his foot on the ground. He circulated the Origin Supreme art within his body as he stretched out his left hand and grabbed the ferocious beast's horn. Creak! Under the impact of a huge force, Su-Yi's feet brushed against the ground and moved back several feet. The mud and stones under his feet surged, and 2 cracks appeared on the ground. He only stopped when he hit a dilapidated wall. However, the wall behind him was densely covered in cracks and collapsed with a loud bang, turning into ruins. Overlord Fist. At the same time, Su-Yi was already prepared. Without any hesitation, he clenched his fist, and the Overlord Fist covered his fist with a thick layer of light. A domineering and majestic energy fluctuation was emitted from his fist as he threw it out. Simple, direct, and clean. Bang! The fist landed on the ferocious beast's head like a bolt of lightning. Instantly, a thunderous sound was heard. Crack! A majestic aura of destruction swept out. Cracks appeared on the ground and spread out in all directions. Some of the rocks were turned into dust. The majestic aura of destruction swept out, causing many of the surrounding barbarian demon beasts to tremble in fear as they looked at Su-Yi. Roar! The ferocious beast let out a miserable howl as its body fell to the ground. Its hard head was smashed and its bones were crushed. Red and white matter spurted out and splashed all over Su-Yi. Oh, the howls of wolves rose and fell one after another, resounding through the void. Blazing Dragon Emperor. It's him. It's that human. This was the beast language. When the barbarian frost wolves saw Su-Yi, their eyes were filled with excitement as they howled endlessly. Not good. Su-Yi understood the beast language, and his expression changed. Blazing Dragon Emperor, that was the blazing sky serpent. The red-haired, middle-aged man, who was still in shock, fixed his gaze on Su-Yi, his eyes glowing with a red light. Being stared at by that gaze, Su-Yi couldn't help but tremble. It was as if he was being crushed by 100,000 mountains. It seemed that the red-haired, middle-aged man was the blazing sky dragon. He had already passed the transformation tribulation. At this moment, Su-Yi's body seemed to be under pressure. The Origin Supreme technique automatically operated at full power, and a billowing aura surged out. Boom! Su-Yi didn't stop him. He channeled the blazing Dragon Emperor fist with all his might. His body emitted waves of energy that were dazzling like flames. He emitted a majestic aura, as if he was an emperor that couldn't be provoked. He was domineering and fierce, majestic and destructive. Brad, I've been looking for you for a long time. I've worn out iron shoes to no avail. Today, I've found you without any effort. Such an aura surprised the blazing Dragon Emperor. However, he was even more furious. His expression was ferocious. His egg was stolen by this human. He had been searching for it in the dark forest, specifically targeting the Wild Dragon Mercenary Alliance. However, he couldn't find it. Now that he recognized this human, how could he let him go? Blazing Dragon Emperor, everything was a mistake. Su-Yi spoke with a solemn expression. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. He didn't expect that after Su Tianke led everyone to escape from the Icefire two-headed demonic snake, they would encounter the Blazing Dragon Emperor. This was like leaving the wolf's den and entering the tiger's den. Su-Yi also knew why the Blazing Dragon Emperor was so furious. It seemed that his identity had been exposed when he stole the Blazing Dragon Emperor's egg. However, the Blazing Dragon Emperor's egg was no longer in his hands. It had been snatched away by MOU. More importantly, he didn't know the origin of MOU. Chi, the Blazing Dragon Emperor, didn't give Su-Yi a chance to explain. His figure descended like lightning, bringing with it a dense, bloody aura. His 5 fingers curled slightly as a claw mark distorted the void and enveloped Su-Yi. The claw mark enveloped the void and sealed the space. Su-Yi only felt the space around him solidify for no reason. It was as if there was a huge force pressing down on him from all directions. It was getting tighter and tighter, as if it wanted to imprison his body and crush him. Chi, just as the Blazing Dragon Emperor made his move, the 9 Lives cat also made her move. A pure white cat tail swept through the air, bringing with it a gentle but incomparably fierce wind. It ruthlessly collided with the Blazing Dragon Emperor's claw. The Blazing Dragon Emperor's expression changed. His face immediately darkened with a hint of fear. A vigorous aura spread out from his body. As his aura surged, he clenched his claw tightly and turned it into a fist. He suddenly collided with a white cattail. Uffed. Unexpectedly, there wasn't a loud sound of energy colliding when the two collided. There was only a dazzling light at the point of collision, and the void trembled. The white cattail was shaken away, and the light on its body dimmed. The Blazing Dragon Emperor's fist trembled slightly, and his expression changed. He immediately stared at the 9 Lives cat. Then, the hint of fear in his eyes was replaced by a sneer. He said, "So you can't even protect yourself. You're burning your essence blood. You've reached the end. I know you. Back then, you were a dragon. I didn't expect you to step into the ruler realm. Leave quickly, and I can pretend that this never happened. Otherwise, the 9 Lives cat coldly snorted. Its amber eyes were like 2 bright moons, illuminating the night sky. Its aura was terrifying. Kiki, I know you too. You're Yao Luo of the 9 Lives cat clan. It seems that you can't even protect yourself. You're an arrow at the end of its flight. This human has a deep grudge against me. Why do you have to interfere? Otherwise, I won't give face to anyone." The Blazing Dragon Emperor looked at the 9 Lives cat, and his gaze trembled. He sensed the cat's situation and was no longer afraid. The cat was no longer a threat to him. The 9 Lives cat's aura surged, indicating its attitude. It looked at Su Yi and Su Tianke, who had crawled up, and said, "I'll deal with him. You guys leave first." "You want to leave? You can't escape even if you have wings." The blazing dragon emperor's eyes were blood red. He roared with anger and coldness. "Tie up that human." "Awoo!" Following the blazing dragon emperor's words, the surrounding beasts roared and stared at Su Yi with ferocious eyes. Low in the sky, several demonic, illusionary realm barbaric beasts appeared and sealed off Su Yi's surroundings. "Oh no!" Chapter 335. Since you want to interfere, then don't blame me for being impolite. Looking at the 9 lives demon cat, the blazing dragon emperor's eyes were gloomy. A powerful fiery aura surged out along with a baleful aura. His figure was like a red shadow. Under the serious gazes of Su Yi and Su Tianke, he directly shot towards the 9 lives demon cat. His roar shook the night sky. The 9 lives demon cat's eyes were gloomy. Normally, the blazing dragon, who had just stepped into the demon emperor realm, would not dare to attack it. The 9 lives demon cat's amber eyes watched as the red shadow grew bigger and bigger. Its aura swept out, and its sharp claws rapidly reached out. "I feel that you have reached the end. Today no one can stop me." The blazing dragon emperor shouted. He did not retreat in the face of the claw. His body moved, and a red light swept out like a raging flame. Accompanied by a baleful aura, half of the void was enveloped. Some of the weaker savage beasts were directly affected and trembled all over. Swish! The blazing dragon emperor punched out. This punch broke through the air, and a fiery energy blasted out in an earth-shattering manner. Bang! The two collided, and an unparalleled force suddenly burst out. The fiery aura swept out like a storm. It was like a sun rising in the night sky, illuminating the entire savage demon forest. The 9 lives demon cat was forced back. It directly retreated and spat out blood. The blazing dragon emperor took advantage of the situation. His body swelled at the same time as a fiery aura swept out. It was as if a part of the world was on fire. Flames spread out and covered the void. Mosuke New Chapter Y, Section 6I2, J. A sharp O. With a thunderous roar, a flood dragon that was dozens of feet long appeared in the sky. The surrounding flames were like waves that submerged its body. Its scarlet red eyes seemed to contain volcanoes. Clusters of flames danced on its head. Its scales opened, and a pair of scarlet red wings flapped. As it flapped, flames swept out like a volcanic eruption that covered the sky and covered the earth. Swish! With a flap of its wings, the void rumbled and flames erupted. The blazing dragon emperor transformed into his true form, the blazing dragon emperor. He took advantage of the situation and fiercely collided with the 9 lives demon cat. Bang! Such terrifying power and formless pressure filled the air. It shot out with a blazing and violent force, colliding with the 9 lives demon cat. PFFF, the light on the 9 lives demon cat's body had already dimmed. Blood flowed out of its body as it fell to the ground. It landed in the distance with a boom, causing the ground to crack like a spiderweb. Some of the mountain walls collapsed, covering the demon cat in ruins. "Be careful," Su Yi shouted, his heart trembling. He was powerless to stop the 9 lives cat from falling to the ground. "Kid, no one can save you today." The blazing dragon emperor ignored the 9 lives demon cat. Its target was only Su Yi. As if it did not want to waste any time, it flapped its wings and suddenly turned around. Then it swooped down as monstrous flames spread out from its body. In the end, it formed a wave of fire that poured down towards Su Yi with earth-shattering force. The wave of fire covered half the sky. The intense heat caused the surrounding void to emit white smoke. This high temperature caused Su Yi's hair to stand on end even from afar, and his hair to stand on end. Swish! Within the wave of fire, the huge dragon's body was faintly discernible. A flaming claw distorted the void and crushed towards Su Yi. It was too fast. It was so fast that Su-Yi did not have any room to maneuver. However, Su-Yi could feel that the blazing Dragon Emperor did not want to take his life. It was holding back, but it did not have the same power as when it dealt with the 9 lives demon cat. Su-Yi gritted his teeth. In an instant, he used the soaring 100 transformation steps to condense a pair of wings. His entire body was enveloped in a crimson light, emitting a kind of ancient pressure. Under his feet, brilliant rays of light shone brightly. Yuan Qi pervaded and covered his legs. It was as if there were mysterious and ancient runes flowing on his legs. A vast and mighty aura swept out. Boom! At this moment, Su-Yi's black hair fluttered behind him. The light in his eyes was as dazzling as lightning, sharp and terrifying. It was as if a demon god had awakened. His robe fluttered, and the aura on his body seemed to carry the fury of thunder. It was powerful and terrifying. 8 Desolate's fury, violent shadow, shatters 9 nether. Spreading his wings, Su-Yi leaped into the air. With a low roar, he kicked out towards the flaming claw. His feet were as bright as lightning. In an instant, it was as if countless footprints were kicked out. The light gathered and exploded like a small sun. This series of actions was done in one breath. It was as fast as lightning. Oh, whoa! This kind of aura was incomparably domineering. It was majestic and destructive. It caused the surrounding barbaric demon beasts to tremble in fear. This aura caused the blazing dragon ruler's volcano-like eyes to flash with a strange glint. The aura within the claw couldn't help but grow a little stronger. Bang, bang, bang. The footprints and claw collided. The void rumbled. Gorgeous energy and raging flames surged out. The pressure was impressive. The ground below collapsed and the void trembled. It was as if it could destroy everything. Puff! The sound was too loud. This kind of gap was something that even the Origin Supreme art couldn't bridge. Su-Yi vomited blood. He was swept by the blazing force and was ruthlessly smashed into the ground below like a cannonball. Su-Yi was already heavily injured. At this moment, he was injured again. His body was about to fall apart. His body was bleeding profusely. Cracks appeared on his body. He couldn't maintain the wings on his back. It was difficult for him to climb up. Human, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings, the blazing Dragon Emperor sneered and roared. Its huge body swooped down. Its sharp claws ruthlessly extended towards Su-Yi, who was on the pile of ruins. On its wings, a murderous aura surged. Be careful. Su Tianke appeared. Although he couldn't be compared to the blazing Dragon Emperor, he had an impressive pressure. His small body and short wings fluttered in the air. Even in front of the blazing Dragon Emperor, he couldn't drown out the radiance on his body. However, compared to before, the radiance on Su Tian's body had dimmed a lot. His aura was rather weak. You're a strange chicken. But go to hell. After being blocked time and time again, the furious blazing Dragon Emperor's killing intent was surging. Seeing Su Tianke coming to block his path, he let out a low roar. His fierce eyes darkened. Blazing smoke filled his nostrils as his huge tail swept out. The blazing Dragon Emperor's huge body was extremely agile. He directly crashed into Su Tian's body. Clang! The blazing Dragon Emperor's huge tail swept out and slammed into Su Tian's body. Flames splashed on the scales of the blazing Dragon Emperor's huge tail. The crisp sound of metal clashing resounded in the air. Puff! Su Tianke spat out a mouthful of blood. His tiny body was sent flying like a comet in the sky, leaving only a faint red trace in the night sky. Then he disappeared completely. Su Tianke. Chapter 336. The blazing Dragon Emperor ignored Su-Yi and continued to dive towards Su-Yi. Its target had always been Su-Yi. A terrifying beast aura swept over. Even through the void, Su-Yi felt his heart palpitate. He clenched the broken sword on his back and infused it with Yuan Qi. Su-Yi wanted to draw out the murderous energy within the broken sword. In the past, the broken sword on his back had erupted with terrifying power. Su-yi hoped that it would be able to do the same this time. As for the other techniques he had, including the soul controller techniques and the Heavenly Fae ancient scriptures final technique, Su-yi did not even consider them. Firstly, he no longer had the strength to activate them. Even if he activated the soul controller and the Heavenly Fae ancient scriptures techniques, how could he contend against the blazing dragon emperor? It would still be like an ant trying to shake a tree. If he could summon the terrifying power within the heavy sword on his back, he might be able to contend against the blazing dragon emperor. But for some reason, in the face of danger, the broken sword did not move at all. There was no terrifying murderous energy, nor was there any terrifying power gushing out. Not good. Su-yi could only grit his teeth and condense his sword art. A sharp aura swept out. Su-yi activated the Ice Shadow sword art. This was a martial technique from the demon spirit truth that Shangwan Chunfeng had never used before. However, the blazing dragon emperor did not seem to be afraid of Su-yi's attack. The ferocious dragon beast suddenly raised its head and flapped its huge wings, sending out a wave of raging flames. Walala! The sword beam was destroyed, and Su-yi's body was sent flying again. He landed heavily in the distance, causing dust to fly as he vomited blood once again. The heavy sword was stabbed into the ground. Su-yi struggled to stand up. The corner of his mouth was already dripping with blood. His body was also completely dyed red with blood. There were many wounds on his body, and his hair was disheveled. Seeing that Su-yi could still stand, the blazing dragon emperor's eyes slightly moved. It was very surprised, but its eyes revealed a sneer. Its chilling aura did not diminish as its huge body swooped down. The light on its body fluctuated. When the blazing dragon emperor's huge body appeared in front of Su-yi, it had already turned back into the red-haired middle-aged man. Chila! The former stretched out a hand and enveloped Su-yi. When the former's figure appeared, Su-yi couldn't retreat at all in the face of that terrifying claw. He clenched his teeth, and his face instantly turned ferocious. His veins bulged as he shouted in his heart. He raised his right hand and punched towards that claw. A terrifying power of Yuan Qi erupted like a volcano, exploding in front of Su-yi's fist. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Su-yi's fist that was glowing brightly seemed to have swelled up, and there was a sonorous sound that sounded like the clanging of wind and thunder. It was like the rumbling of thunder, and it carried a huge pressure that was like the awakening of an overlord and the descent of an emperor. Boom! The two immediately collided. Sand and pebbles flew in all directions, and the ground exploded. Su-yi spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying once again. Chi! The blazing dragon emperor's figure appeared like a ghost. Before Su-yi landed on the ground, his 5 fingers curled slightly, and one of his hand was already upside down on Su-yi's left shoulder. A blazing power crushed down on him. Ka-ka! The sound of bones breaking came from Su-yi's shoulder. It was as if his bones were breaking, and an intense pain spread out. A terrifying power swept out and crushed Su-yi. It wanted to tear Su-yi's body into pieces in an instant. Human, hand over my bloodline, or I will tear you into pieces. The blazing dragon emperor coldly looked at Su-yi. The huge force under his claw swept down, causing the bones in Su-yi's shoulder to crack. The terrifying and violent aura of the blood fiend collapsed. Suddenly, the blazing dragon emperor's expression changed. He stared intently at Su-yi. At this moment, when Su-yi's shoulder was gripped by the claw, his already dispirited aura suddenly rose. The surface of his body was covered with wounds, and his veins were exposed. His eyes gradually turned red, and the aura on the surface of his body was like an erupting volcano. It was even more majestic and destructive. When this aura spread out, even the blazing dragon emperor was shocked, and his heart secretly palpitated. Only Su-yi himself knew that this was the familiar, mysterious power that came from the mysterious ball of light. When the blazing dragon emperor was crushed, the origin supreme technique in his body was like an emperor that could not be provoked. The mysterious power in the mysterious space in his mind also began to react. It was as if an emperor had been provoked and exploded in an instant. The mysterious power spread out from the mysterious ball of light and poured into Su Yi's body, causing Su Yi's body to tremble and expand as if it was about to explode. Ah! With a loud shout, Su Yi's eyes were already scarlet red. The aura on his body was suppressed to the extreme. The scarlet light in his eyes surged, and a terrifying power poured into the broken sword in his right hand as he slashed towards the blazing dragon emperor. The light covered the broken sword, and the aura was violent and blazing, revealing a kind of destruction. The blazing dragon emperor's expression changed, and his heart palpitated. A terrifying power surged out from the human's shoulder, as if it was connected to him, causing his hair to stand on end. Subconsciously throwing Su Yi aside, the blazing dragon emperor's expression changed. A mighty scarlet flame swept out. Hula, the sword light slashed through the air, and a destructive wind energy suddenly exploded. The light was dazzling, and it caused a crack to appear in the scarlet flame in front of the blazing dragon emperor. The blazing dragon emperor's face was filled with shock. He waved his sleeve, and a scarlet light, like lightning, shattered the sword light. However, his expression had already changed greatly. This human seemed to have changed in an instant. This power made his heart palpitate uneasily. Kill! A low roar suddenly soared into the sky. Su Yi's figure soared into the sky, and a scarlet light surrounded his body. A majestic and overbearing aura rushed up. His right hand held the heavy sword tightly, and like a thunderstorm, the sword light was resplendent. With an incomparably fierce posture, he directly slashed down. Awoo! The surrounding barbarian beasts roared and trembled. At this moment, the aura that rushed out from Su Yi's body caused the barbarian beasts to tremble in fear. This power doesn't belong to you. The blazing dragon emperor discovered that such a terrifying power definitely did not belong to this human youth in front of him. In the sudden change, the blazing dragon emperor did not delay. He opened his mouth, and a scarlet flame transformed into the image of a blazing dragon. With a dragon's roar, it collided with the incoming attack. Light bloomed, and a terrifying gale surged like a hurricane. Swish! Su Yi's body flew down, smashing heavily into the ruins below, shattering the boulders. He spat out blood, and the wounds on his body exploded. Scarlet light filled the air. Under the impact of the terrifying power in his body, Su Yi could not bear it. His body felt like it was about to explode at any time. His entire body was covered in blood, and it was a tragic sight. In the ruins, Su Yi gritted his teeth. With his last bit of rationality and consciousness, he knew that he had to fight to the death. In the end, it's not my power. It's useless. Chapter 337. Boom! Suddenly, the void trembled. At that moment, the blazing dragon emperor's expression changed drastically, as if he had sensed something. He abruptly looked behind him, where a terrifying chi was rising. Following the blazing dragon ruler's gaze, he saw the body of a 9 lives demon cat entrenched in the void. The dazzling light from its body illuminated the void as a terrifying aura spread out. At this moment, the huge body of the 9 lives demon cat seemed to be expanding. Its body continued to expand as the light became brighter and brighter. Its aura also became more and more turbulent. Exploding the demon pill, this is not good. Run! A horrified voice came from the blazing dragon ruler's mouth as his body immediately fled to the front. At the same time, the blazing dragon ruler transformed into his huge body. He flapped his wings and fled as if he had seen the most terrifying thing in the world. He did not dare to stay any longer. Awoo! The beasts roared as the surrounding savage beasts retreated in panic. The Frost Savage Wolf and the other demon illusionary realm savage beasts also fled as the surrounding beasts scattered in all directions. Boom! The 9 lives demon cat's body exploded in the void. It was like endless thunder that lit up the sky and illuminated the dawn. The shocking energy swept out as if countless bombs had exploded at the same time. The light shone and shook the 9 heavens. Bang, 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 bang. The earth and mountains below cracked and exploded as huge gullies spread out. Huge rocks exploded as the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. First edition of the first edition? A rumble. The shocking wind swept out like a hurricane. Su Yi's body was swept in and was instantly sent flying. I hope you can survive. I never thought that I would be involved with a human. A faint voice entered Su Yi's ears. At the same time, an invisible force enveloped Su Yi's body. Under the impact of the huge force, Su Yi's cracked body was about to explode. Blood spurted out as the terrifying force swept through his body and he gradually lost consciousness. Bang, bang, bang. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked as light shot into the sky. The entire savage demon forest seemed to be shaking as the earth shook and the mountains shook. Large amounts of mountains were destroyed and turned into ruins. A large number of savage beasts were swept in and turned into a bloody mist. However, everything soon calmed down. The sky began to brighten. It was early morning. In the depths of the barbaric demon forest, early in the morning, the sun rose from the east, and the mountain peak was surrounded by fog. Mist filled the air. A figure sat cross-legged at the peak of the mountain, with a faint light surrounding him. This figure didn't look very old, only about 11 or 12 years old. Phew! When the first ray of sunlight came from the east and shone on the figure, the faint light around the figure retracted. He spat out a mouthful of turbid air and opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with light, like a divine light, and then it retracted. This figure was short, but his face was indeed slightly old. He seemed to be in his 60s or 70s. There were faint wrinkles on his face, which were traces left behind by time. The outline of his face was distinct, and it could be vaguely seen that he must have been quite handsome when he was young. The figure stood up. His black hair was mixed with a third of his white hair, which made him look like he had been through a lot. He was skinny and small, like an 8 or 9-year-old child. He was only half the height of an ordinary person. He wore a long robe that fit his body. This short figure stood at the peak of the mountain and looked at the rising sun in the east. He slightly stretched his waist, and then his figure strangely disappeared from where he was. Faint roars of beasts could be heard from the mountain walls, broken rocks, and the surroundings. The short figure appeared on top of a huge rock out of thin air. His eyes were filled with doubt as he muttered, "What a strange aura." After he spoke, the short figure closed his eyes, and a faint light fluctuated around his body. Chi! When the short old man opened his eyes again, a flash of light shot out, and his figure disappeared from where he was. When the short old man reappeared, he appeared behind a huge rock. Behind the huge rock, there was an unconscious figure. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. His hair was disheveled, and blood was flowing everywhere. Looking at the figure, the short old man indifferently glanced at him, and a hint of doubt appeared in his eyes. He walked closer and flipped the figure over with a kick, revealing a bloody face. Blood blurred the face, but could be vaguely seen that he was about 15 or 16 years old. His body was covered in wounds, and he was tightly holding a broken sword in his hand. After glancing at him indifferently, the short old man left. The unconscious young man lay there quietly. The wounds on his body were so deep that his bones could be seen. There was no aura around him, and it was as if he was already dead. No one saw that the broken sword in the young man's hand was absorbing the blood. The young man's body was covered in blood, and it flowed all over the ground. It seemed to be attracted by something, and it quietly gathered and flowed toward the broken sword. It was all absorbed by the broken sword. After absorbing the blood, the broken sword still had no reaction. It was rusty, and there was no change in its luster. Oh! The roars of beasts could be heard from afar, echoing in the void. After an hour, several savage beasts appeared. They had sharp fangs, and their fierce eyes were fixed on the young man. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive, and they slowly approached him. Awoo! Several savage beasts roared in a low voice. When they were about 10 feet away, they surrounded the young man. They seemed to have sensed something, and they were afraid of him. They did not dare to get closer, and they paced back and forth. Finally, the leading brute demon beast let out a low growl. Its aura was violent, and it seemed like it could no longer hold back. It opened its bloody mouth and pounced towards the young man, wanting to swallow him into its stomach. Bang! Suddenly, without any warning, the figure of the barbaric beast that had just pounced out exploded. A mist of blood gushed out and turned into a bloody paste. Awoo! The surrounding savage beasts raised their heads and roared ferociously. They seemed to be searching for something. A short figure appeared without a sound. His face was gloomy as he stared coldly at the few barbaric beasts. Awoo! Suddenly, the savage beasts started to tremble. They whimpered, and their bodies trembled. Then, they ran away in a panic. The short figure turned around. It was the old man who had left not long ago. He looked indifferently at the young man who was lying on the ground, covered in blood. He squatted down to check on the young man, and he frowned slightly. Then, a pill appeared in the short old man's hand. He opened the young man's tightly shut teeth and stuffed the pill in. He muttered, "If you are not dead, then you are not destined to die." The river meandered continuously, passing through the boundless mountains. The majestic mountains stood between heaven and earth. The house was simple, but it was clean and tidy. The sun shone brightly outside the window. On the bed, the young man was unconscious, and his eyes were tightly shut. Chapter 338. In the room, there was a 14 or 15-year-old girl. Her clothes were simple but clean. Her hair was tied up in 2 long braids. Her face was delicate and pretty, especially her pair of big eyes. They were very clear. The girl was holding a handkerchief and wiping the blood on the unconscious youth's face. She was still muttering softly, "You must hold on. You look so pitiful." The young girl muttered as she carefully wiped the blood off the face of the unconscious youth on the bed. "You look quite good." When the clear face appeared, the girl couldn't help but take another look. She was slightly surprised. Although this face looked as pale as ash at this moment, it was not a fair complexion. However, his facial features were extremely well defined. Although the eyes under a pair of slender, sword-like eyebrows were tightly shut, there was an inexplicable special aura about him. Being able to meet Elder Sue can be considered as your fortune. Although others say that Elder is harsh, cruel, merciless, and unreasonable, I know that Elder's heart is the kindest. The girl was like a chatterbox. As she muttered, she wiped the blood on the youth's body. Sue fainted and fell into a deep sleep. After an unknown amount of time, he woke up in a daze. However, his entire body was in extreme pain, and his body was not listening to him. He could not even lift his eyelids. "Am I dead? I don't think so." His mind was dizzy, and his body was in pain. Sue felt that he wasn't dead. Then a voice sounded in his ears. "So much blood. How pitiful. I don't know how the elder saved you." The girl kept talking to herself. The handkerchief in her hand was soon covered in blood. She washed it in a basin of water and continued wiping. After doing this several times, the basin of water was stained with blood. "His injuries are so serious. He is really lucky," the girl muttered. She looked at the back and chest of the youth on the bed. There were deep wounds everywhere. She was scared witless. Then, the girl's movements hesitated. She wiped the youth's upper body clean. However, the youth's lower body was still drenched in blood. The girl looked outside the door and gritted her teeth. She hesitated for a moment. Then, like a thief, she went to the door and closed it. Men and women should not touch each other. However, you can't do this. I have to clean you up and apply medicine. This will be better for your injuries. Otherwise, you may die. The young girl looked at the young man on the bed, and her words seemed to be directed at herself. In the end, as if she had mustered up her courage, she took off the young man's ragged and blood-stained pants. Suddenly, there was nothing covering him, and his body was exposed. "Girl, what are you doing?" "My pants. In Suyi's consciousness, he was stunned. He could feel that he had been stripped naked by a little girl. Just like that, he was completely naked in front of a little girl. At this moment, Suyi's heart was on the verge of breaking down, but he couldn't move at all. Ah! With a shout, the young girl seemed to have realized something and couldn't help but stop talking. Her face had already turned red at some point. She covered her eyes with one hand and couldn't help but close them tightly. But then, the young girl's fingers moved slightly, and she quietly opened one of her eyes. Her jet-black eyes rolled around, and through the gaps between her fingers, she secretly looked at the young man on the bed who was already exposed to the light of spring. The girl's eyes slowly moved to the area below the youth's dantian. Her face was flushed red. She blinked and muttered, "So this is a man." She took a deep breath and stepped forward. She dried her handkerchief and wiped the blood off the youth's body. Sui knew that this young lady was wiping the blood off his body. Her movements were gentle, as if she was afraid of hurting his wounds. But this young lady was actually wiping his body, and very carefully at that. What was she doing? "I am still a virgin." Sui was on the verge of breaking down. He was still a virgin after all, not to mention that he couldn't control his body right now. At this moment, Suyi's heart was about to break down. He was about to break down. Finally, the girl finished wiping Suyi's body. She looked at the terrible wounds on Suyi's body and couldn't help but be moved. The girl took out a bottle of ointment and started applying it on Sui. She said to herself, "This is the ointment given to me by the elders. Don't worry, you'll be fine." The ointment was very hot. When applied to his wounds, Sui suffered a lot. It was as if countless ants were biting his wounds, but he couldn't make a sound. However, this proved that the ointment was very effective. Sui could clearly feel that the ointment had a medicinal effect that entered his body and healed his wounds. No, don't apply the ointment there. V version, first release, soon. Sui wanted to cry, but had no tears. Suddenly, the hot taste made Sui drunk. That sour feeling was unforgettable. Oh, it's really effective. The girl was very happy to see Sui applying the ointment. Finally, the girl covered Sui with a layer of gauze. These days, he had to change his dressing every day, and it was not suitable for him to wear clothes. Elder Sui. The young girl turned around. Suddenly, she was taken aback. A short and small figure had appeared behind her without her noticing. The figure was short, but there was an aura that made people tremble. The girl knew who it was. She immediately bowed with a respectful look. "How is he? Is he still alive?" The short old man opened his mouth. His body did not move at all as he spoke. His feet did not even move, but his body had already arrived in front of the bed. He gently lifted the layer of gauze on Suyi's body, and his eyes revealed some surprise. Seeing the short old man lift the gauze, the girl's cheeks suddenly flushed red. She didn't even dare to raise her head. She said in a low voice, "Elder, he is still breathing, but his injuries are too serious. If it was an ordinary person, he would have died long ago." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.